Hi, welcome everybody. We're pleased to have you here. We're just taking care of some last minute logistics on our end. This is the Dwight Building Committee. Myself, Lauren Efron, I'm chair. My vice chair is Nicole Olson. John Purcell to my left. Galdenzi.
Good morning, all. He
is also chair of another building committee that is currently doing all the HVAC, right?
Not in this room.
Not in this, it's a little hot. We're going to put the picture down. Sorry about that. And Jason Lee, he has served on several building committees and he is our liaison to the Board of Ed. So
it was actually in honor of Cinco de Mayo. I wanted to feel tropical.
Mark Schweitzer, he is our owner's rep from Colliers. And Angeles Papa George is from Fairfield Public School Systems, and he helps oversee all the buildings in town and projects. Hi, we're joined here by Jeff Boysinski. He is a representative of Tecton Architects. Hired to have them on board. And we've got Peggy Macaluso, also a board member, joining us here. If you don't mind, we have to do just a little bit of order of business. That was my roll call. We're officially called to order 9:02, and we're gonna say pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We are officially starting. I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to you guys. Typically, how we've done this is 45 minutes for a presentation, followed by the 15 minutes of Q&A. If you're comfortable with us firing some questions at you during the presentation, we may do that, but we'll try to hold them to the end. Whenever you're ready.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
On behalf of the Newfield construction team, I'd like to first start off by thanking the town of Fairfield and the White Elementary School Building Committee for having us here this morning. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to be considered as your construction manager at risk for the new Dwight Elementary School here in town. I look forward to joining your team and bringing our expertise and our knowledge in the Connecticut school, the public school building sector to the table. My name is Brian Ollett. I'm the president of Newfield Construction. I'm joined by key members of the project team. Be working very closely with you, design consultants, and your owner's rep throughout the duration of this project, from pre-construction all the way through to project closeout. Since receiving the RFQ, we've had the opportunity to visit the site, really get the lay of the land, review the documents that were included in the RFQ, your ed spec, some budgetary information, as well as cruise the website and review the meeting minutes that were provided online. We have a pretty good understanding what you guys are proposing here on the site. And we've come this morning prepared to talk about our approach in dealing with the proper planning during pre-construction, building a brand new large-scale school project within feet of an existing building. Very complicated, but something we're very used to. Certainly in the last few years, it's become much more commonplace. And we're going to talk about that as we progress through our presentation today. And certainly if you have any questions during our presentation, just fire away. We're more than comfortable answering questions as we go. But before we get into those details, I'd like the rest of the team to introduce themselves to you, tell you a little bit about themselves and what role they'll play in the project.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. My name is Mike D'Angelo. I'm the project executive for Newfield. I'll be one of your main contacts throughout the project, from the start of pre-construction all the way through the end of construction. To give you a little background on myself, I've been managing school construction projects for over 15 years. And for the last years, I've had the privilege of managing our teams in Fairfield County, building multiple school projects, which we'll show you today. So thank you again, and we appreciate this opportunity.
Hi, I'm Steve Bucari. I'll be the pre-construction manager. Again, I've worked with this team on many projects. I've got 45 years experience in the industry. I'm a graduate engineer. And I'll take this committee in the town through the pre-construction effort to a successful GMP.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Logie. I'm chief estimator with Newfield Construction. I have been in the industry for 21 years now, graduate of Brigham Young University in construction management. And I'm excited about this project. I love estimating school projects. They all seem to have their own challenges, and that is exciting for me. Also part of the estimating team, but not here today, is our senior estimator, Chuck Dabrowski, and Danielle Couture, who rounds out our estimating team.
Good morning. My name is Jodian Daly. I'm the compliance administrator, and my role includes managing and monitoring project goals and requirements. I've worked on several school projects, which include South Norwalk Elementary and Longlots Elementary, and this has prepared me well to help support Dwight Elementary and Early Childhood Center.
Morning, everyone. My name is Ben Chassie. I'll be the project manager for your project, lead for the construction team on site. Graduated from Wentworth Institute of Technology with a major in construction management. Worked on the Net Zero Elementary School up in Mansfield, which we'll talk about later on in the project for sustainable goals, which we're hoping to implement into your project as well. Currently working on a $50 million occupied phase school renovation out in Sherman, Connecticut. So I look forward to incorporating those experiences into your project as well.
Everyone, my name is Matt Olszewski, superintendent. Got 27 years of construction experience, and I'm a school super. Working with Ben out at the Sherman School right now. I've been involved with a lot of occupied, renovated new schools. I'm in and out with the logistics. You know, most importantly, I love this team we've got together today, and look forward to getting another chance to do another project.
Morning, everyone. My name is Ben Vanoff. I'm a project engineer for Newfield Construction. I do the document control and communications for the project. I have 4 years experience in construction and most recently completed the South Norwalk Elementary School with Eddie, Jeff, and Steve from Tecton Architects.
Not here with us today, but to round out the construction team for us, we got Bill Johnson, our general superintendent. He'll be meeting on site with, the rest of the construction team in the trailer, just assisting with any on-site needs, coordination, any safety concerns, or things that we just got to coordinate. We'll be meeting with Bill on those topics.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maddie Gervais. I will be your main point of contact for all things community outreach. Most of my experience has been in communities similar to Fairfield. So I look forward to kind of showing you our approach towards a town like this, and we understand how meaningful this will be to the community of Fairfield. So I will go into some more details about that later on.
Yeah, and a few other team members that we don't have here today that are in supporting roles would be Rocco Bucari. He's over here. He's our risk control manager and site safety manager. So he'll be involved for the duration of the project. He assists with contracts. He's our insurance specialist. And then he'll be on site managing safety compliance as well. We also have Charmaine Stewart. She's the director of our compliance department. So she'll be assisting Jody in all compliance related challenges. So before we get into Dwight, we just wanted to give you a brief overview of some of the history that our teams have completed, school projects over the last 5 years. So everything I'll show you is within the last 5 years, which is pretty relevant in the construction industry. And as you'll see, several of the projects are City of Norwalk projects. The City of Norwalk has been a great partner and client of ours over the last decade. So as we continue to work well on their projects, they continue to hire us in their line of projects that have been ongoing. So first off is Jefferson Elementary. This renovation is new of the existing building with multiple additions. The purpose of us highlighting this here, this was completed in 2022, is that you can kind of see from the picture that this building, the existing building, was essentially built on a mountainside. So it's 3 stories in the front, 1 story in the back. And, as our team went through building additions and renovating the building, we experienced a lot of ledge challenges, but we successfully navigated that. And because of our successes there, the city hired us for Cranberry Elementary School. Cranberry was completed at the end of 2023. And it's a project we're actually extremely proud of. So in 2024, Connecticut Building Congress awarded us not only large K through 12, best project in Connecticut, large K through 12 category, but also the Project Team Award, which is granted because of your excellence in communication and collaboration with the team members on site, including CM, architect, Board of Ed, owner. So this is just a project we're extremely proud of. And just to give you a highlight of it, it was a new building that was built directly adjacent to the existing building. So it certainly had its challenges.
Very similar to ours.
Yeah.
Identical. So, yeah, great project. We are very proud of Cranberry.
Cranberry had the septic tanks, correct?
Correct.
Septic tanks in the
They
front.
were on alternate property across the street. So we had to really maneuver, eligibility and ineligibility requirements because it was off-site. So we needed to get creative with OGA, making sure they got their full reimbursement.
After Cranberry, the city did hire us to build South Norwalk Elementary School, which we had done with Tecton, but I'll get to that. That's our last project of highlight.
That's our favorite project.
Oh, yeah. So we're currently under construction for Long Lots Elementary School. Westport's another client of ours, repeat client. Where in 2020, we built or renovated Coleytown Elementary School for them. And because of the successes there, they hired us for their next project in line, which is the $90 million Long Lots Elementary School. And Long Lots is another project where it's a new build, phased, and then once we're done with the new building, we'll be moving on to the demolition of the existing building. And it certainly has its challenges, especially similar to Dwight, where it's a tiered site. So finding the right building location was extremely important for Long Lots. It's also a near net zero project. So we have geothermal wells, which are actually all installed. They were installed in a previous phase. So another great project that's very relevant to Dwight itself.
You mind me asking, is it full geothermal or is it hybrid?
It's full geothermal, full electric as well. So they tried to get as close to net zero as possible without having to, a little bit of budget essentially. So, we did it in a multi-phase. We did, first phase was geothermal well installation. Second phase was an early material release for a generator and electrical gear. And third phase is what we're in now, which is just the overall construction project. Next project was Cromwell Middle School, which we completed in August. Another new build on an occupied site, which they moved into demolition. That's all completed. The final steps are finishing up the PV this summer. And that was a 100,000 square foot complex that we constructed within 16 months. So a fast-paced job, but ultimately a great success that team received high praises for.
Did they move in already then?
They did, yeah.
So they moved in at what, the Christmas break?
Yeah, when was that?
August.
Yeah.
They moved in August, okay.
But that project's not officially closed, right? You still have to do the.
Yeah, we have photovoltaics still. I think small portions of the site work, there might be a little bit left. Yeah.
We started the, once we hit our TCO, we started they moved out during the summer. So we started the demolition of the existing school in the summertime.
Beginning of summer.
And then we progressed through this past fall, getting all the fields ready. So yeah, the job is done.
Yeah.
Then
Needs the final sign off.
photovoltaic this summer.
So, we wanted to highlight South Norwalk Elementary School, not only because Tecton is the architect and we'd love to get the band back together. But I think the challenges that South Norwalk presented with in terms of site are extremely similar to what Dwight has. During pre-construction, we coordinated with the architect and used our estimating department to come up with the most cost-effective siting of the building. It was a challenging site with steep grades, as you can see in the back, very shallow rock, contaminated and polluted soils. So what we decided, what was in coordination with the team, was shifting the building and raising the finished floor elevation, which ultimately the parking lot had to be tapered down to the street, but it saved millions of dollars in cost of contaminated soil export, rock ledge removal. So we had a formula that our estimating team had put together, which was a function of all of those various costs that came into play. And we intend on going through that those same motions right as well. So. All right. Talk about your project specifically. We've reviewed the budget, we reviewed the schedule, and we feel that it's very appropriate for the project. In terms of schedule, we only had 2 minor comments. We do think the pre-construction, sorry, Jeff, is a little long for what's required, but we also don't know any restrictions you have. So, if we were brought on board, we'd work with the design team and all the stakeholders to determine what's relevant, what's best for Fairfield. The other comment we had was there was a 6-month closeout period that was designated, which we feel is a little long also, given that the substantial amount of closeout will be required and completed at the new building construction, because they're gonna need all of those closeout items, the trainings, the O&Ms to occupy that building. So I don't think you'll have,
You don't think once the building is occupied, we still might need a team that's there to troubleshoot if there are
you
issues?
absolutely will, but we'll be there doing the demolition already. So I think during that.
It'll still be occupied. I understand.
Yeah. So during demolition and site development, our team will be there closing out.
That makes sense.
Like, yeah. So that never really go away. I mean, if you need us.
Okay.
So with any project, there's key qualities of the project, key aspects that really determine whether that project is perceived as a success. So Matt and I are going to now go through the details, why what we feel is extremely important. Yeah, doing a good job.
Great. Communication with school administrator, facilities, and maintenance staff, and you all, stakeholders, right? That's one of the most important things we do. That's where I come in as a starring role in the field, right? As a superintendent, I'm where the boots meet the dirt. You know, I have a thing I like to say, and it's true on every job I'm on, is that it's a school before it's a job site. And it's a job site until it starts affecting the school. And right there is the effective communication and getting to know each other, getting to understand with clear communications on how we're proceeding so that you guys can project that to everybody in your stakeholders crew, how things are going to progress and communicate. Logistics. We're expecting everybody to start looking at this, right? How are we going to approach this? So Mike and I have developed this slide, and you can see right now, clear separation is top of our list, right? So clear separation, we know about this area back here. There's a photograph. We visited the site. We understand how close it is to the site. We understand that this hillside is mostly ledge right here, right? So back to Mike's bringing up siting the building, we can maybe provide some guidance on that. And we understand that you've got traffic flow separation concerns as well. So visiting the site, we learned that you've got 40 to 47 parent pickups at the school. And that's important. You've got, 40 to 50 cars, bumper to bumper. That can add up to a quarter mile of traffic every morning and every afternoon with 4 to 5 buses on top of that. Right. So this
We also have an after-school program.
and an after-school program.
Very popular, so
So
at least that many cars, if not more.
correct.
4:30
And we understand that. So as part of clear separation, we see a one-way traffic loop with the ability to modify this and make this a turnout for your parent drop-offs and your bus pickup to continue. All of this parking, nothing really changes for you on this side of the school during phase 1. And we set up right off of Reading Road. We'll pull off in a gate for safe access in and out of the site when it's time to come and go and lock up. Double row of fence going up the driveway, this very steep driveway that's up here. We cut in a bit of a switchback and alter the grades a little bit. Our lay down and trailer area will be up there. And that should manage our traffic flow and especially the safety as people go up and down Reading Road. Yes, ma'am.
Say you're putting a fence up.
Both of these dotted lines represent fence and we'll have erosion control on the stream side, wetland side.
This is just your initial thought process, correct?
Correct. And
My only concern as a parent is we have to, in order to not back up onto Reading Road, we actually double up our car line. So if you have a doubled up car line plus the exiting cars, you actually need 3 car widths along that, plus then your fence. So just throwing it out there. I know
No, it's a
still
good thing to
initial.
throw out there, and it's literally the next thing I wanted to mention was that we also understand that you know this better than we do from the site, right? And at the end of the day, the stakeholders matter because it is a school before it's a job site. So all of this has to be worked out with the team that's here, the stakeholders, the end users, the authorities having jurisdiction. Sometimes the fire marshal wants to say things about this. So, this is what we do as far as developing it. We're comfortable in managing that process.
We developed the same traffic flow pattern at tree. And we were able to get away with about 11 feet for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was tight. We had a lot of belly aching from the site contractor. We really designated 11 feet. It was about maybe just short of 2 lanes for exiting traffic, parents in the buses. And we did have to go back onto the existing parking area and modify a couple islands so the bus can make the turn to head on out.
Yeah.
And again, it was in collaboration with Public Works, Board of Ed, and with the administrative team. Prior to school starting, we actually had the bus company come out and make a couple of routes, so.
That's right.
We realized that we were bumping on island.
Maybe stupid question, but the fence is required?
The fence was required.
Safe separation.
Right, just making sure.
There'll be a lot of trucks coming in and out and you're gonna want the fence.
We don't want cars pulling in there by mistake. We want clear delineation. That's, it's a safety thing, and it's also to get the folks who are coming and going will eventually get used to our traffic pattern as we progress through this phase.
And
Right?
we did review a few options of maybe having a gate here and, us coordinating, parents during drop off time, leaving through our
Scheduled shutdown for us.
But that again would have to be coordinated with everybody.
Okay.
So one of the other considerations is obviously the subgrade and soils conditions, right? And we're talking about ledge is the primary thing, right? So where we plan to route these things with the design team and the end users, what are our constraints around the existing utility services? The existing utility services, I heard it was brought up already, a question about the septic. We know that septic needs to be replaced. It was in the RFP, but more importantly, when you step out of the car by the main office, it kind of smacks you in the face with that smell. So we understand, we know exactly where it is. Most of your utilities are coming up to the existing school in this corridor here, and we'll have to get up here. All of that will be coordinated as a well-planned sequence thing with consideration for not let the least amount of impact on the school as we can plan accordingly, right?
Yeah, and so, we talked about the siting of the building, not only the location, the shape, there's that ledge here, the steep incline that looks like ledge. We noticed large outcroppings in several locations. So we think that that's going to play a big part in the cost of the project overall, how that's laid out. So we would be coordinating that with.
We're not married to that layout, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
I
probably-
own that design
Well,
for the logistics plan.
No, I totally understand, and that's what everybody
We're
thinks.
looking at the same thing everyone else is coming to.
Consider that there might be another option that would, work better with the logistics of the site, and possibly give us back more field space at the end.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. This is extremely steep over here. I think that's being underestimated. So that's why we put in a switchback.
That makes
Because
sense.
you look at it, might get some large trucks that can't even make that kind of incline. Yeah. General gist of phase 1.
Phase 2, this is where traffic patterns change. We see that we still have access down here, but now we're in the demolition phase, right? So at this point, our traffic flow has changed for the school, and they're coming in this way. You'll note that we've always left this tennis court as an open area because it's likely public, right? It's assumption on our part.
Fix the tennis court before they fix the school. It's a little.
Yeah, and we know that there's public parking here and it's being maintained, and it seems prudent to plan around that for now. So hazmat material and abatement, we're going to be demolishing the school. So the existing building is shattered in here. This has to come down, and obviously timing and how we do it is everything. We've noted dust boss mitigation systems. It's like a misting machine, like a snowmaker
Big
at a
snow
ski
blower
resort,
shoots up
but
in.
it's water, obviously. When we're doing this in the
Some
summer,
traps like the particles.
It does.
it does. It's like a water curtain. So,
Yeah, and the dust boss, it's good for dust, but I think perception is another huge part of it. So when parents come in and they're dropping their children off right next to the demolition going on, there's excavators, there's dump trucks. cetera, you'll see that mist flying up in the air. So we utilize those at Cranberry and people, we got praises for it because, you know, it's perception. And I think people see that, you know, you're trying to do what you can to mitigate the dust.
So your plan to do the demolition of that building, potentially kids inside the new school?
Well, that's another point I was going to bring up. Hazmat remediation for sure is critical timing that you finish that during the summer because, you know, once this, you put in the notification, the DPH will come out, they'll review the schedule and what you're thinking with occupancy on site. So even if we have to work 7 days a week, multiple shifts, all the hazmat remediation will be scheduled during the summer. That way you avoid any kind of partial or full occupancy notification from the state. It increases cost. You have to send letters to the families. It's just perception again is not great, no matter how all the safety concerns or safety measures you put in place. The majority of the demolition will certainly be scheduled for summertime. But a lot of the times you have to clean up the debris and there is some little residual effect after that. So dust bosses, I mean, I highly doubt there would be any concerns safety wise with what our train of thought is on the demolition. But obviously that would be coordinated in advance. I mean, if we have to work 7 days a week, multiple shifts, then do that. We've done it in the past, so.
One last thing is we're gonna have to develop with the design team, the end user team, because the parking that is required for the new school with this configuration requires that it's gone, the site developed, and this is the site development phase, the demolition, the removal, the site development, last utility connection. So this little detail here is just our initial thoughts that's our material laydown area there. It's economical to develop that into a flat spot that it already is and get that close to wherever the building winds up being sited.
The laydown is going to be where? Where are you putting the laydown? Sorry.
We go back to phase one.
Is that the back field you're going to take advantage?
This is the track. So this would be the backstop where the baseball field is now. So then we would have your typical construction site management, right? Stockpiles of material, stockpiles for laydown areas and storage containers, masonry setups, and trailers for values, design team and the end user.
Is there a concern with that?
How are you going to bring them? So you're at the top of that softball field, right? And that access road, we're going to assume is going to be inaccessible.
This one?
Is that the one that goes in the back, Angelus? Isn't that not going to be accessible by the truck?
Well, that's why we're showing a switchback, which would actually decrease the.
Definitely have to alter the grade set.
Yeah, so you would,
direction here.
you would switch, run it up one way at a little shallower point and then down. We have the contours. It's just not shown on here to try and minimize that incline.
How are they getting accessible? Yeah, the switchback. It makes sense to me.
We're gonna
because
stretch out the
it's
slope.
incredibly steep, so it would need to. And then there's like a level point at the top where like there's a couple parking spots.
Yeah, it levels out right about here.
I think it's fair to assume too, that working with Jeff, the configuration or footprint of your building is gonna look different than that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Could adjust where everything is up.
The conceptual model.
consist with the development of the site.
Any more questions on that?
No, thank you,
Go
though.
to the last phase.
Okay.
So phase three is where you see the parking outline here. We kind of overlaid it with the school in the background, so it's a little hard to see. But you kind of get the point that we want to develop these parking areas, the hard surfaces, and all the things that belong here for the final development. So to hopefully progressively turn them over for use in order to restore the last of the temporary things as we back our way out of this site phase three.
And this may,
How long is phase 3 in total, you think? So from like the time you start demoing, well, actually, I shouldn't say just phase 3 then. From the time you start demoing the building until the parking lot is ready to be used, guesstimate.
June, well, start right after school's out,
Yeah.
demo, mediation, after they move everything.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a couple weeks of moving stuff. And then after demolition is complete, we're gonna be working on site work while it is ongoing. So the goal is to finish that by November 15th, because you want to get landscaping in.
Perfect.
And you can't can't pave after a certain years, you know, typically it's right around, so you have to finish that before winter time.
Yeah, that was, I know that that's gonna be a question from the teachers someday, and understandably so, thank you.
Yeah, no, we're looking at this exact scenario, again, at Cranberry, multiple project, Cromwell, a bunch of them where you're doing the demolition in the summertime, you're also working on site work, and you have to finish before the landscaping and pavement plants close.
We're always looking for opportunities to improve the flow of the work and find advantages in the sequences that we have to place some of these items. So,
All right, next I'd like to highlight Newfield's sustainable project experience, a couple, projects to highlight. Starting with the net zero school in Mansfield. I was part of that project alongside Colliers, coordinating that effort for the town of Mansfield. That kind of, stands out in our minds, that kind of separates us from our other competitors. The geothermal and photovoltaic systems, we have a good understanding of how to coordinate those systems. So, incorporating that into the documents when we get to MEP BIM coordination, coordinating the trades and really getting those systems installed in the field is critical. We have some LEED certified projects that we've been a part of and that we're proud of. And as you can see, in Fairfield County and neighboring towns and cities, we have a slew of high performance projects. Every state funded project is considered a CT high performance rated project. And our project team here today is well versed in all those, management aspects, what we need from the trades in order to get you all your points for high performance rating for your project.
Key with Mansfield has a zero carbon footprint. Only fossil fuels being used for that project is the emergency generator. So power, but it's zero.
That's interesting.
That project had septic, it had the photovoltaic systems, had the geothermal, so full heat pump systems. It did have, DOA units for air exchange for fresh air, but, VRF systems throughout all the more bed spaces, things like that.
Yeah, the difference between long lots and Mansfield, that's near zero versus zero, is long lots is thermal envelope isn't as enhanced as Mansfield. Mansfield is as tight as it can possibly be. We did air blower tests. There was no air leakage out of the building or air leakage into the building. So that's an important element in development of net zero.
Was it a different style of build? Like, what was the difference in the envelope that caused that?
There was the insulation package, different layers of drywall, how the drywall was installed, all important aspects.
I take it that was more expensive then?
Yes.
Yeah, you had like the spray foam insulation on the exterior where they had the Ipe siding. So it kind of, it played into the whole envelope getting enclosed. But yeah, the net zero aspects, we have a good understanding on how to coordinate those components.
You know if Mansfield was more state funded and that's why they were able to, yeah.
100%, correct? Answer.
No, it wasn't 100%, but they, I don't remember, but I think it was maybe 60% funded. Colliers. may
Yeah,
know
it was
better.
60 or 70.
I can check on that. It was pretty high.
We can get back to you on that.
Ask with all this stuff, I'm very, how much of this do you guys look into, or is it more on Tecton when it comes to reimbursements, credits, things of that nature that will help us be able to explain to the town why we're making certain decisions that might be more costly at the moment, but better in the long run? Who helps walk us through that? Is it a combination of you guys, or do you guys really look deep dive into that before you start?
It's a collaboration.
Collaboration, okay.
The first step forward would be Tecton, Jeff and team. And it's really analyzing how you maximize your reimbursable. We'll talk to that a little further in the slide, but it's one of the efforts in our pre-construction is looking at the OGA.
Okay, great.
How do we maximize your reimbursement and where do you get the credits and where you don't get the credits. And develop that before, have a couple of conversations with OGA before it hits paper. Then it's hard to peel it back.
Got it.
Who from your team handles that? I know one of your references said you were especially adept at that skill and that you provided a lot of advice on how to do things differently to get a higher level of reimbursement. So who on your team does it and why is that a differentiator between you and other companies?
I think Mike,
I do,
as the
yeah, I
project
do.
exec, will take the lead. And he's got resources within our organization that we'll sit down and have a what if, look at that. So clear communication with the design team on how the process gets developed. It's our ability to pick up the phone and talk to the people at OGA and say, what if? How do you think we ought to approach this? And there are certain, a few of them are pretty good, others aren't, but know who we're not sure who your contact would be at OGA.
Bob, Kermit,
Yeah, we don't have the.
we don't have them yet.
Not yet.
I mean, we're on a first name basis with all of them. So, all of them.
So pre-construction, as you can see, our team has developed a preliminary plan, how we see your project progressing through the build. Now that plan needs to be implemented during pre-construction. The screen shows a lot of the services that we provide during pre-construction. Every construction company will say the same thing, but we differentiate ourselves from other companies. And I think a couple of points I do want to make is we engage the entire construction team. We just don't have a pre-construction department working in a vacuum. We will engage Mike, Ben, and Matt to look at the drawings at each phase of the deliverables to identify questions that they may have. Estimating will also be involved in our document review as we go through pre-construction. Jeff could attest that we bring a lot of questions to the table. We'll have those resolved before we move to the next level. I think that differentiates ourselves from competition. I think the other thing is that we live in Fairfield County. Our office is in Hartford. But we're on the 95 corridor all the time. That's Mike's team. And our Ben lives in Stanford. Mike lives 20 minutes from here. So we're down here. It's not like we're going to travel in for a one-day meeting and travel out. We're here and we're here to stay.
I'll change that.
During pre-construction. The other element that I think that differentiates us from others is our relationship with CHRO up at the state level. I work closely with Jodian and her team to develop a set aside small business package for CHRO's review. And we're on a first name basis with Alvin Bingham up there. And every time we do our initial submission.
Could you give us that acronym? Sorry.
Sorry.
Some of us are still.
I can't remember all the acronyms that everybody keeps.
CHRO.
Rights,
It's the weirdest acronym in the world.
So what is that? I don't think that that's been discussed here yet.
It was in your RFQ that you
Yeah.
wanted us to develop a program, but what it is.
Sure, it's necessary. It's not sure.
Want to take it?
Yeah.
So basically, any state funded projects, there's a package that they basically have to complete and get it approved by the state. So what we do, and Charmaine, who's not here, we work with the contractors closely to make sure that they complete that package and get it approved by the state. Because it can be disapproved, but they have to make sure that they're meeting all the state requirements because it is a state funded project.
So once it's approved, then you guys get going.
Right. But then the
If it's
plan-
not approved, you have to kind of go back and.
Yeah, and make corrections.
And the program is 25% of the contracting has to be small business enterprises, of which 6.5% has to be minority or women or disabled business enterprises.
or better.
Or better. And typically, we've got a slide that will speak to that. And again, that's a differential that we have than our competition. When we make our initial submission to CHRO, I would say 9 times out of 10, it's approved. That is a predecessor to going out to bid. That approval process has to happen before we can put it on the street. So those are a few points that we like to make. Again, if we do our job, we get to our bidding process, we keep our budget control in line. We get out to bid, end up with a successful GMP to move.
All right, finally, get to some of the exciting part of construction, estimating and numbers, right? So in the estimating department, our ultimate goal for every job is to make sure that we have a certainty of cost before we start the project. To get there, it's a process, right? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna validate the budget that's been set for the project. When we get the SD drawings, that's when we'll start doing that. One of the ways that we do that, especially at the SD phase, is we rely on our historical data on our past projects. Long lots would be a good example. That's one that was recently bid. And then, of course, Sono is going to be invaluable for interpreting and or interpolating costs to validate the budget for this project. However, there are obviously going to be some very project specific things that go into the estimate. On this job, there's been a lot that we've talked about, right? Like the site getting out of the ground, that's going to have a lot of cost impacts. The ledge that we may deal with, the utilities, the infrastructure, the potential contaminated soils. We're going to take all of that into account at the SD phase so that we can come up with an accurate budget. The other thing that we do is we make sure that we're keeping track of what's going on in the market, right? Like we know, all of us know in this political, economical world that we live in right now, things are changing all the time. And so we're keeping our eye on what's changing, how is it changing? Way we do that, we reach out to our subcontractor. We have a very diverse and supportive subcontractor base who, I can pick up the phone, or one of my team members pick up the phone. Hey, what's going on with materials right now? What's going on with labor? Is it how are you seeing those affect cost? We're going to pull all of that into the budgets that we put together. We're going to continue on then. Once we get the DD drawings and the CD drawings, we'll put together 5 minutes. We'll put together budgets, and we'll make sure that as we progress through that we're being as accurate as possible, so that when we do get to that guaranteed maximum price, we're all right within the numbers and everybody's comfortable before we ever put a shovel in the ground.
This is a sample of our constructability review. Again, we engage our entire construction team unless they get their eyes on the project. So we can really, what we want to do is avoid questions while we're bidding. A lot of RFIs, a lot of addendums. We don't want that. It extends bidding, and it really brings a lot of confusion to the table. Lastly, if we miss things that aren't vetted out in pre-construction, turn into change orders. And we're not a profit center. We hate change orders. Any change order would be, want to add another addition to the building, an enhancement only requested by you. Those are the change orders we like, but greater change orders, appreciate. And again, a quick sample here. We average anywhere from 500 to 700 items during our reviews. The bottom 2 sheets are showing, this was a DD review, where that's the superintendent. These are the 2 superintendents. That's one of our estimators. And that is a project engineer. All offered valuable questions as we reviewed the drawings. That alone was 302 queries that we presented to the design team. And even the stakeholders, we may have questions of the town. How are you handling the reimbursement or energy the energy costs. And again, one was the drawings and one was specs. It was 500 or 600 items to review. The other key component of it is that before we move to the next step, most of these items should be reconciled. At least a pathway to understand how they're going to get resolved, whether it's the development of the drawings further down, and we'll monitor that process. We move to each one of the levels. And again, it's to avoid confusion during a bidding and to avoid change orders during construction.
All right, so we kind of talked about the OGA and time limitations. I'm going to go quick, but with our project experience, we have extensive experience with OGA. And as we touched on in pre-construction, we'll be following up, communicating with them regularly. Our construction team is well versed in how the state change order processes work for eligibility. So I don't want to spend too much time here, but if you have any questions on it after, please just.
Again, we've spoken about it during our development of the program in a vacuum, not knowing a lot about your project. We dove deep into what we think your project is going to look like and how it needs to move forward. And then we need to put that program in place during pre-construction. And we like this slide. This is where we immerse ourselves in the process. We integrate with your team. We bring in all the elements that are required for pre-construction, whether it's CHRO requirements, constructability review, outreach to OGA initially, to a point where we deliver a successful GMP at the end of pre-construction. I made that. It's nice.
Great.
All right, so we've hit on the pre-con efforts, we hit on our site logistics. Now we're gonna get into the construction phase of your project. I'll hand it over to Ben for.
So I just wanted to quickly talk about how our use of Procore expedites processes across the board. From the beginning, RFIs and submittals are assigned workflows and due dates, which keeps everything flowing nice and smooth for the project. As well as any reporting that gets documented during the course of the construction gets all put into one module in Procore called the observations tool, which can be easily tracked by all parties.
Big ownership.
And ownership, yep, sorry. And then a similar process for punch lists, consultants will come and make their lists and I'll input them into the system, which again can be easily managed and tracked by all parties. And the rolling punch list on Procore really helps streamline the closeout process and makes it very efficient for handing the building over it.
Thanks, Ben. Another part of this is our schedule updates. Our 3-week look ahead, our daily monitoring. We hold stand-up, daily touch-up scheduling meetings with the trades in the field. And that complements and validates our 3-week look ahead, which we do in our weekly foreman meeting, and provides us with, we actually put on our look aheads with our trade partners, the contract identification code, the start date, the end date, and then the actual start date, so that we start tracking the actualization of the schedule process throughout this. And that's where, Ben Chassie and I will get together and have schedule updates.
The name of that program is called Procure, or is that just what you guys name it?
Or it's like the main management software
Okay.
that we utilize. Yep. Quick hit on the budget management, again, utilizing Procore, we'll have our events implemented in there. That's how we'll work through any change orders, PCOs, which are potential change costs, and then eventually owner change orders. We can assemble the PCCOs, which is similar to an AIA document for contractual cost changes.
And you don't have an issue with the building chair going to your weekly OAC meetings or a member of the building committee?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, but
Principals, staff, we regularly get attendees from the school.
town official,
Like, yeah.
Yep. Budget control, we hit on with the change events and COs, things in Procore. I'll work with Mike and the rest of the pre-con team early on to assemble, contingencies and even allowance allocations that'll be strictly adhered to. We'll get, approval from the SBC and the rest of the board to ensure that everyone understands how those costs are being allocated. They're not just pots of money that we have to use. You'll understand what their uses are for. We'll assemble, the monthly update, Primavera Cloud. Matt and I will do the schedule updates. We'll adhere to our milestone schedule. I'll work alongside Maddie to ensure that celebrations for the town, beam signings, topping off ceremonies, things like that, are all adhered to for our, based on the construction schedule. We also have an ROJ, or required on job material procurement log. We'll implement that. It's linked to our P6 schedule, and that ensures that materials are being delivered to the site in accordance with all of our milestones.
Okay.
Quick hit on the MEP coordination. From a, it's an early phase of the construction process. We're going to implement the BIM coordination effort. It's key to understanding how all the sophisticated mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems are going to be installed. We want to ensure that the trades are coordinating these together, and that really cuts down on installation headaches in the field. So that's going to cut down on any cost impacts and change orders down the road through construction. Ben is going to manage the whole meetings. He's going to meet with Tecton, all the trade BIM coordinators. We're going to set up weekly coordination meetings and, ensure that process goes smooth.
So we have a 3-step process for our quality control program. Pre-installation conferences. We like to hold these for some of the more mundane items as well as the big ones like the roof and the exterior envelope and MEP systems. We'll have one for mock-up just to make sure we're validating things and all on the same page. Then we initiate the work and proceed without everything that we've been talking about. And then the follow-up is our touch-ins that go on every single day on site with our team.
And a major aspect of quality assurance is tracking all of this and making sure it's all documented properly. So through the use of the observations tool in Procore, as I mentioned before, that's where all the reports get stored and logged and tracked, as well as wanted to talk about the QR codes for both the operation and maintenance manual, which we can set up for any maintenance staff, where they can scan the QR code. It pops right up on their phone and they can scroll right to that maintenance item. And we can also tag those for punch list in the building to specific locations. So when you scan that at that specific location, it'll show up all the RFIs, submittals, drawings, anything that has to do with that location. All the data will be right there, easily managed.
For compliance, I'll work closely with the pre-planning team Steve to support our small and minority businesses. I'll also reach out to local organizations such as the Town of Fairfield Chamber of Commerce, Choose Fairfield, and SCORE to identify any qualified bidders early on in the process. Once the fun stuff begins during our construction phase, I'll provide ongoing data regarding the program goals and outcomes during our weekly owners meeting so everyone's on the same page. And based on my experience, I'll ensure full compliance with the state of Connecticut CHRO requirements, the prevailing wages, as well as the Town of Fairfield project goals. And I'll also make sure that we exceed that 25% participation goal that we talked about previously. And I also pride myself on the relationships that we have with our contractors. They know if they have an issue, they can just give me a call. If they need help with any paperwork, they know I'm the person that they should go to get that support. And here at Newfield, nothing feels new. It feels like family. So I look forward to working with the Town of Fairfield and helping support a top-rated elementary school.
Did you just come up with that tagline?
I did.
I think someone needs a raise. She just literally created a tagline. Oh my God.
Now the fun stuff, I would argue, Brian, I'm sorry. This is kind of what we love.
We're the moms of the
Yes.
group, so we're,
This
this is what we're waiting for.
But just time check.
You're,
Perfect.
you have probably another slide.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, so as I said before, most of my experience has been working with communities similar to the Town of Fairfield. I've been in Westport and Norwalk with both of these teams here. So I like to just work with your team to kind of figure out what approach the Town of Fairfield wants to take with community outreach. I know I've been in both situations. Westport's a little bit more hands-off and we kind of keep things a little bit behind the scenes with the public outreach and community stuff, but South Norwalk, that school was the first elementary school in 40 years. So I was down there.
In about 30.
Yeah, so I was down there often.
Very curious. It took a long
Yeah.
time to get this project funded and approved. So there's a lot of interest
Right.
sides.
So these things will kind of be that selling point for this.
It would help to get community buy-in.
Yeah.
I'm interested in as much as possible
Mhm.
because I think if people feel that they've got a hand in it or they've at least got to voice their opinions early on, then they'll feel more comfortable about things early on.
We want to keep the excitement from the original groundbreaking all the way through the ribbon cutting. So these things will help with that. All the milestone celebrations. We invite the public, we invite everyone. We have a professional photographer who travels with us. So we're always kind of thinking of new ideas to capture those moments for the social media and the digital diary of it. It can be something that the town can look back at and also follow along even from afar. So without this stuff, they would just build the building, you know, behind the scenes and everyone would see it the last day and it would be there. So we want to have all these things. And then site tours are important. We do monthly to bi-monthly. So we'll invite the Board of Ed, town officials, the public on site for project updates, whatever you guys need to see, we have that coordinated. Soft openings have been very impactful for some of the communities we've worked in. We'll coordinate with the Board of Ed to have parents and students and faculty go through the school before it opens. So it's kind of like you said before, it gives that, you know, sense of ease before walking into a new school. So that works pretty well with other communities too. Public presentations, our guys are equipped answering any questions as the project goes along. So if there's any schedule updates or project updates that need to be, you know, shown to the public, they're open to that and they're always available for phone calls or whatever is needed from your team here. So, and then of course, if all this goes well, the educational opportunity for the town of Fairfield, it will be something that each person, student, faculty, staff will have taken a piece throughout all of these events with them into the doors in 2029 when the school opens. So we look forward to it and I hope that you could see that from this team.
Wrap up 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I hope that today we've proven to you, based on our presentation today and our response to your RFQ, that we're knowledgeable and experienced construction that quite frankly specializes in Connecticut public school construction. 95% of the volume of work we do every year is serving as construction manager at risk for public clients throughout the state building schools. Over the last 10 years alone, we've completed over 55 public schools, representing 3.5 million square feet of new and renovated space. And again, right here in the state of Connecticut, we don't venture out beyond the borders of Connecticut. Our entire company is dedicated and focused on the Connecticut market. We're second to none in terms of our experience and knowledge and what it takes to get your job done. And really, we're very proud of the fact that we've completed so many projects over the years, but what we're most proud of is the fact that all of our work is a result of repeat business. Clients like the town of Fairfield and not just hired us for one job and moved on, but ultimately hired us for their second, third, fourth, and in some cases, 9th, 10th, and 11th consecutive school projects. And clients don't do that unless you're really good at what you do. That's just the fact. They're not going to hire you consecutively if you don't do a great job. And that's what differentiates us from our competition. It's these people who are presenting to you today. They're the difference makers. They put the time and energy to the details of your project. They already have. And they will. They'll continue to do that through pre-construction. They'll develop plans that think through all of the challenges. And there's always challenges on a huge scale, large scale project like this, but they think through things that, no offense, even you guys won't. And that's why you're hiring us. And that's what we bring to the table. And we hope that at some point, the town of Fairfield says, you know what, let's hire Newfield Construction and we can add you guys to our list of repeat customers, which we're very, very good. So that's it. If you got any questions,
Thank you.
fire away. If not,
I think you've answered most of our questions. I do just have one specific. You know that this project is obviously new for Fairfield, right? We haven't done one in a long time, but specifically what makes this project unique is that we have an early childhood center that is being constructed for the first time. We have one that is dedicated at one of our high schools. It was, you know, an addition, right, an add-on. But we haven't had an early childhood center that was specifically built attached to an elementary school. And so we're obviously thrilled and we'd like to welcome that community into ours. So I'm just curious, how much experience do you have with early childhood centers? Because they have a very specific set of parameters and Like,
We're doing one right now.
facts, thank you.
Yeah, we're doing one right now. Westport is doing the same thing.
They do
Yeah,
for
we have one.
us?
It's stepping stone.
So we're not the
Stepping
guinea pigs.
stones. Not the guinea pig.
Let Westport
You
be.
did stepping stones?
We will be in Westport. Yeah, it's ongoing right now. So I mean, during pre-construction, we'll be building that actively. So hopefully we don't have any lessons learned, but if there are
Is that
any.
your first?
If there are, it's not.
Ponus Ridge Steam Academy was an existing elementary school, and they moved an upper school, so they brought the upper grades. When they moved that in, they were with the addition, they were allowed to add pre-K and K into the program. So Ponus Ridge in Norwalk is pre-K to 8th grade. And I think the
It
development
also is pre-K. Yeah, Norwalk School.
started that way though, right? They had pre-K in the existing school. They brought it over.
They brought it over into the new school.
Bonus, they developed a pre-K program within that area. I think we added 3 classrooms. The configuration of the rooms are different.
You have to have exit doorways.
But that's one that's been,
Toilets are smaller.
Bonus is.
it's my only, and this is not, you know, doesn't preclude that you couldn't obviously do this, but the Westport one isn't completed yet. You haven't even broken ground, correct?
It hasn't, but the schools that he's referring to have been.
Are done.
In Ponus Ridge, we did all the work needed to plan.
Okay. Did you have any issues on the project that did not go as planned, and what went wrong, and how did you change your process afterward?
In terms of which project, I guess, with any project?
When you were just referring to the early childhood
Polaris.
center, the pre-K and K?
The Ponus Ridge project, I think, went pretty well. It was,
It was a 40,000 square foot addition with 110,000 square foot renovation. And the early classrooms were in the addition.
we're
And-
efficient.
And, you know, honestly, the construction part isn't that challenging as compared, like, it's really the design aspects. You have to have a separate exit door to the outside directly. How it coordinates with the playgrounds. They put a separate playground around the early childhood.
They have to have their own drop off and pick up area.
Yes. Yep. And the toilets are smaller, but and we had, I think, coordinating the grab on the little tiny toilet. Yeah.
That'd be flushable.
Okay, I just have to ask because this is new for us, and we're excited about it. We want to make sure that we get it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody?
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, Jason.
On the cranberry position, because it's stuck in my head. Septic tanks, so you're gonna build a new school with a new septic tank. How do you foreseeing that with the limited space you have, plus a new leaching field to go with that septic tank?
Well, we'd have to coordinate that with Tecton and their consultants for that, because it really depends on the location of the new leaching field. If you're putting it in the exact same location, that would have to be summer work, essentially, which I don't think you can do that. So, you would have to coordinate that work during the summer mostly. But that would be part of a temporary service plan. We'd put a whole plan together with the design engineers, involved in it, of how we're gonna phase the utilities, each specific utility, electrical, gas, well, if there is gas there, sewer, well, it's not sanitary, it's septic, stormwater. So,
And with this probably not, but you guys don't have a rough estimate how much your pre-construction cost would be based on what you're looking at the site? Yeah, I know you probably haven't because you haven't officially have any.
our pre-construction costs or the
What
cost?
you see with the Dwight project, I don't know if it's not fair to ask, but.
Oh, like what our preliminary
Yeah.
construction costs, but, well, we, with the information that we were able to gather from the information provided to us, we did feel that the budget, the 59 million of construction costs was reasonable. Yeah, size building, including the early,
I think there was some.
early childhood was about 10,000 square feet.
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take in the school.
Yeah, it was a little confusing. The ed spec had a different size of school. When you added the pre-K program, and then the RFP had an 85,000 square foot building. So there was a little differences there, but.
Yeah.
Budget.
Yeah, they, I don't want to say they bulked up some numbers, but our last feasibility study, and I know they're hearing with them right now for
Speak.
Westport. I felt like it was a bit excessive in some of the square footage compared to what we actually need for the, but it was also, I want to say that the ed spec was probably just like the bare minimum without any extra. So maybe there needs to be a little bit more like breathing room through the hallways. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I know there was a gap.
That, the equations that Colliers will use and Tecton will use, you can't exceed a certain amount of square footage. Because they'll knock that off and that piece will not be reimbursed. So
Beyond the ed spec, you mean?
excuse me?
Beyond the ed spec, you mean?
Beyond what's required for a school of this size and population.
Allowable.
You
Okay.
have to be careful with that.
Can we squeeze one more in?
Okay, Jeff has got a couple too.
Last real quick. With all the jobs you've done connect with the public schools and stuff like that, are you able to set the market on certain things such as steel and all that because you actually buy it in bulk and can plan ahead? So you actually can lay down the lowest prices on certain things in the market?
Oh, do you have an advantage over your competitors?
So it's all of the bid packages have to be publicly bid. So we don't have the ability to pre-purchase and negotiate. It's a public element. So it's whatever the market would bear. The differential with us is that most of our bid packages get a lot of interest. Contractors like working for Newfield. Our documents are tight. They like how we progress through the job. They appreciate the detailed schedules that we provide during the bidding process, which allows them to manage how much time do I have to do the job. You'll get RFI questions if you don't put a schedule out on the street to price. Well, am I working during the winter? How much time do I have? What kind of temporary heat? We develop a fairly detailed schedule that we provide to the bidding contractors. So I think we get a lot of coverage. Typically, people would say, you're working down the 95 corridor, you struggle. There's not a lot of contractors in the area. What we bring to the table as a Harford County contractor, we have contractors that follow us and only follow us. And they'll move into the 95 corridor and price our work where they won't price other people's work.
With the net zero project, did you guys look at ICF construction at all? Is that discussed?
Are you guys familiar with it?
Yeah, but the Mansfield was a little bit different. We were not brought on as construction managers at risk. That was a hard bid GC project, kind of weird, but I don't know why, if any project should have went CMR, it was that job. But that was a hard bid lump sum job. So we didn't have any input during pre-construction at all. Bid it as you normally would, GC style. We were low bid, we built the building. But I don't know if that was considered. I don't know. I've heard of one job in the state.
The time and the politics in Hartford, the fellow that ran that operation, I think is gonna go to jail.
Oh, I know him.
Wanted all school construction projects to go hard bid. In some cases, it was a mistake.
Has Newfield done any ICF project?
We have not, but I think the only school project I'm familiar with was Brookfield, right?
Yeah.
That was the only school that was, we looked at that job for sure. There were some problems with it, but I'll leave that to the design team.
Yeah, I have a weird one. For those of you that were here during COVID, I'm normally the time person. She's normally the money person, but given what we're dealing with, it's very reflective upon during COVID with the high highs and the low lows, especially with the oil prices, which is completely related to this job. When it was COVID, throughout the schedule end of it, because I know that was something that will hopefully, money-wise, you guys were kind of thrown into this vacuum of like, oh my God, we don't know what's about to happen. When you were working on those jobs to the time you completed them, did you find that you completed them within the budget? Did you have to pivot a lot to make that happen? Were there cuts? Or did you just say, we're going to make the change orders? And if so, about how much more percent-wise were the projects?
COVID was stages. So right for the first year, prices were the lowest we ever saw because people were so scared what's going to happen that all of a sudden, numbers on the street were,
I'm thinking more the tail end when all the prices of all the construction.
Yeah, well, that for sure. So it's kind of a wave. The prices really came down, but materials became scarce. It was hard to get equipment and materials, and that's where supply chain and projects suffered because of supply chain issues. That slowly resolved itself, but as it resolved itself, prices soared. Budgets became, if you weren't breaking ground in, I don't know, 15 or 20 days, your budget was gone. It was that quick.
And do you find that during that time, those were the towns that are still rehiring you?
Fully,
So you maintain those relationships despite all the issues? that were-
absolutely.
So Ponus Ridge, which we talked about before, actually, we were right in the midst of it. And when COVID hit, so we got medic is what they recommended and disinfecting. So I mean, we had a small change order that we put to our CM contingency to keep the project going at the time. But that was honestly the gist.
Good thing about COVID, it's all the public schools shut down.
This is true.
Best is for manager. Yeah.
Work to the time.
It worked. You got a school done in the.
We took advantage of the time.
Yeah, okay.
Supply chain issues on the back end, I think were more problematic for us. We didn't know what was gonna be missing at what point in time. We had electrical panels, missing breakers, missing
Generators.
bombs.
Generators and radiators being
We had
too low.
mechanical equipment, missing processors, microchips that were required to make BMS systems work. Saying, yep, it's all shipped, and then all of a sudden, things were just missing because of the people that weren't there to put all those things together at the factories.
You maintain the relationship, so that says a lot.
We did, yeah, it was in Norwalk. Yeah, all of our jobs, I think, were fairly successful at COVID times.
John?
Working through, always have a plan B.
So on a multi-year project, and you always have a pipeline, new projects starting, projects ending. How do you ensure kind of team continuity throughout a multi-year project? And who's the person from your team who would be spending the most hours with us over the next few years?
Well, to answer the first part of the question, when we decide to go after a project, the team that we present is the team that's going to be assigned to that project. It's put into our schedule. The only thing that has to happen is we have to get the job. And we have to maintain business. So once we have confirmation that the job is Newfields and we're gonna be part of the team, that team is now dedicated and it's already figured in terms of their schedule. So the team selection is based on availability, but also who fits the project the best and who has the best experience regarding your project. And that's how we choose. So this team is available. I mean,
Who here is on Long Watts?
I am,
Just you.
Oh,
I
okay.
was involved there in pre-construction.
the executive made it in lots.
You estimated
Compliance.
Jody.
You're doing compliance. Outreach. A lot of you. When is that project scheduled to be complete?
December 2028 is the new building. After that, it kind of tapers down to demolition of the existing and the site work. But, as the executive on it, I am there probably 2 days a week-ish. Essentially, I would be also fully available to manage the pre-construction.
Sherman wrap up.
Sherman wraps up, we'll be done in summer, late
next
springs, yeah, this time next year, essentially, so 27. So Matt and we'll be out of there.
I think that was part of one of the packages that you asked for the RFP, where our staff is and where they would be when this project started.
Are you on Sherman?
I'm not on Sherman. But so to answer your question on I would be, for the duration of the project, I would be heavily involved pre-construction all the way through the end of construction. So I was people with your main contact.
Or the main contact?
The main contact, yes. I mean, then as the project manager, we'll have a little more detail during the construction process, but I
You want them here every day?
Yeah.
You got them.
When it's ready to work.
20 minutes away.
I just don't want to have to fight with Westport for,
No.
disability.
No, I mean, it's,
I'd rather not. I spoke to the lady who runs all the project manager. I'm totally forgetting her name. but
Susan?
Susan, a gem, a
Yeah.
gem.
great.
You guys don't feel that way, but I thought she was
They're
a
not
wealth
gonna tell you.
of.
Oh, super.
They're not gonna tell
We
you.
have a
What
senior,
am I call her again? Tremula, right? Am I saying that right?
Shaporis, CHI.
Thank you. I could have talked to her all night.
We have a senior PM over there who
Okay.
is well versed in the project, so it's not as heavy.
I wouldn't want to piss her off.
Myself.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for staying over a little, and I'm sorry for the heat in this room.
Question,
Yeah,
is the decision process going to progress?
that's a fair question. So we are working with a new procurement portal through the town. We've had some growing pains with it. We're the first building committee that's had to use it for this. And so we have to kind of go through a process. We should know by the end of the week, but we have to have a public vote, which are weekly meetings are Tuesday, so it's Tuesday. Internally, I mean, hopefully we would have a decision by the end of the week. But again, we have to wait till we publicly notify everybody.
And any questions that you may have, feel free to contact Brian. So moving forward.
Awesome.
Love your belt, by the way.
Going down, everybody.
Told you that.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, we're not
I wanna be back for
a shaking hands line. It would take us all day.
I want to be back for those muffins.
Oh, yeah, grab a muffin if you want.
Hi, Jack. Nice to meet you.
Another, I used to professionally do it a long time ago.
I would
Now
recognize your voice if I heard you, but I wouldn't recognize you.
Hey, thanks.
Car, right?
Yeah, I don't put the video on. It's like, no, it's kind of.
Nice to meet you.
It is.
Yeah.
That was where that was.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
You could have scooted up. You do, Jeff. For a living.
When I'm on, I manage here. So
Sit here.
financial system,
That's right.
to corporations, support, enterprise applications.
Okay. I just, it schools me how many people want to have no bridge talk.
Even like, tell
I don't have formal construction industry, yeah, so, but a lot of projects, a lot of.
coffee, morning glory muffins.
So yeah, the HVAC,
Great, it's like a meal.
there was definitely
Yeah.
some,
And pineapple and coconut.
I understood.
It's everything I left.
I've implemented even in my own house, right, heat pumps and.
Yes, but I'm glad you're
A lot.
but she started talking about,
There's real-
I wanted to pick you up and I was like,
Contracts, so
but eventually.
it's the same, in IT. people,
Yeah.
really same.
Yeah, they. When the guy said BMS system, it's like,
I know what
that
it
All
is.
is. Yeah.
right, guys,
Yeah, I
I'm
do.
gonna ask that we
Bank.
just, I know we're all
Okay.
excited to talk about
So-
this. So I'm gonna
like-
put us into,
The vote to go.
okay. I'd like to motion to move into executive session. Thank you, Jason. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm looking at you. All
On that.
those, yes, we have a quorum. Peggy, can you raise your hand? Thank you.
I was
Unanimous. We are going into executive session at 10:15.
Well done.
I'm putting my glasses on.
Close the door.
Okay. Angela, so you tell me when that'll say stop recording, right? Oh.
Emails?
Make a motion.
Okay, the time is 10:29. I need a motion to leave executive session. Thank you, Jason. A second by Nicole. All those in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. All right, we are back in and we are ready to welcome Turner Construction. Does someone need to welcome them in?
I think Mark's doing it.
Mark's doing it.
Oh, I thought it was Cobain next. Oh, no big deal.
Hi,
Morning.
welcome.
Morning.
Good morning.
Coffee and morning glory muffins if you're hungry.
Thank you very much. I'm all set.
Just so you know, logistically, we're obviously sitting here, this is publicly recorded. And yes, you can plug it over here. Hopefully Mark gave you the rundown. We can have, if you have a presentation, we can have it on that screen. I'm Lauren Efron. I'm the chair of the Dwight Building Committee. This is Nicole Olson to my left. She's vice chair. We also have John Purcell to her left, Jeff Galdenzi.
Morning.
He's also chair of another active building committee here for schools. And Jason Lee, his right, is our Board of Ed liaison and has served on several building committees. And then we also have Mark Schweitzer, who you know from Colliers. Oh, Peggy Michael, sorry, came out late, so not here at the front with us. She's also a member of our building committee. And Angelus Papa George, he is our Fairfield Public Schools representative, head of all facilities. And we are joined by Tecton architects Jeff Lazinski and Antonia. And I'm sorry, Antonia, I'm not going to say your last name correctly.
Ciavarella.
Ciavarella, thank you. Gotta get it. We're thrilled to have them on board. Okay, so that's us. And you guys, just so you know, you've got 45 minutes, right, for your presentation, followed by 15 minutes of Q&A. We may fire a couple of questions at you, but we'll try our best to hold questions till the end, if that's all.
I'll give you a 5-minute warning. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize. I'm with the IT department, so
Fantastic.
you could run those names back to me again. I missed the introductions.
Take your time. This morning is open just for the committee. Creating a new procurement portal.
Yeah, he emailed everyone on our DBC. And
So whenever you're ready to go, we'll start from there. But
Am I in a bad spot blocking in once you, I found that hard.
As long as you're okay with everybody staring at you.
and we're sorry for the temperature in the building, a little warm for my liking, but we came in and it was at 75.
Right.
We adjusted it down. We're trying to.
I don't need to put on my sweatshirt.
Oh. That's the old dragon.
that's the old dragon. Did you go to
It's a 93 Dragon.
Did you go to Dwight?
I did.
Did it smell then?
That doesn't stick out in my memory.
Okay, good.
No, all right.
No, I joked in the last meeting, I turned it up this hot, so we felt like it was Cinco de Mayo. I really.
There you go.
Tropical.
We do have one person that's just gotten stuck in some sort of conflagration in Bridgeport on 95, so she should be here like any second.
You want to wait?
If we could just give her one, if you wouldn't mind giving me that intro rundown again. I wasn't able to put the faces to the
It's
names
okay.
as you're speaking.
I'm the chair, Lauren Efren. Nicole Olson, she is my vice chair.
Okay.
We have our vice chairs. We have John Purcell to her left, also a member of the building committee, Jeff Galdenzi, and Jason Lee, and Peggy Macaluso. So that's us as a board.
Okay.
And then Mark Schweitzer with Colliers.
Yep.
Owners rep, Angelus Papa George representing FPS, and Jeff and Antonia with Tecton. Yep. We are actually a board of 7. We're down 1 today.
Okay. They couldn't take the heat.
Something.
There's more of that. It's quicker.
Yeah. Units are down, the building. I would recommend you guys
The
start.
units are down.
I don't know if she's like the key person, but we asked a lot of questions and it's gonna get.
Sure.
It's gonna get crunched.
It's only gonna get warmer. Very good.
It's only gonna get warmer. Yeah. We all start fading.
She's coming up right now, so you.
We could start with introductions and then.
Sure.
we'll have
I'll
time.
start. My name is Chad McCullough. I'm the Vice President and General Manager for Turner here in Connecticut. Lifelong Fairfield resident. 2 kids in the system today. We are graduating North Stratfield School in a couple of weeks. 93 grad, dragging through and through. Spent my entire 23-year career here in Connecticut. Been fortunate to build a lot of schools. My job is to make sure that full resources of our company are brought to bear on this project. We'll go through some of those cool a little bit later on. Going with the rest.
Next, my name is Tim Kleps. I'm a construction executive with Turner. Been with Turner for 25 years, all here in Connecticut. Dating back to one of my first projects back in the early 2000s has been with elementary schools. Norwalk Elementary was one of them. Working currently over in Greenwich at Central Middle School. Doing very similar project to what you have here at Dwight Elementary School with a occupied build and then a demolition on the same campus. I appreciate you all having us here. I'm excited to be here and talk to you a little bit more about your project.
You did the original ACC up at Ward, right?
I did. The ECC at Ward back in, what was that, 2008, maybe 2010? I was a superintendent and engineer back then.
Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Jillian Zinder. Apologize, I got a little twisted up in the. But I will be the project manager for this work. I've got over 25 years of experience with Turner as well. All of my work has been in occupied facilities, whether it's healthcare, municipal, or, community spaces. So a lot of experience, working in and around the client and making sure that we're being good neighbors.
I'm Valerie Donahue. I'm the pre-construction manager. I've been with Turner for 33 years. Half of that has been in pre-construction, half in operations. Throughout my career, I have built and estimated numerous complex educational projects on occupied student campuses.
My name's Chris Chilla. I'm the project superintendent. I'm currently working with Tim down at the Greenwich Central Middle School project as well. I've been with Turner Construction for over 14 years. All the projects I've been on have consisted of either occupied renovations or occupied campuses, with over 70% of my experience being in K through 12 in education. I am a Fairfield resident. My two daughters go to school down the street in Greenfield Hills Nursery School. So I'm familiar with the community.
Congregational church?
Yes. Okay, awesome.
Wood festival.
Yeah. Awesome.
Moving early this year.
It happens.
Tony Kellogg, project engineer. I've been with Turner for 21 years now, which ironically is as long of a residency as I've had in Fairfield. So I'm a Fairfield resident. Again, my kids, I have two kids that go to the public schools, McKinley. The majority of my tenure in Turner has been with critical facilities and or private schools. And what better way to get excited for a project other than in your backyard? So moving forward.
Good morning. My name is Will Benoit. Believe it or not, I'm also a resident of Fairfield, close to 4 years now. I've been with Turner Construction approaching 5 years, with a background mainly in the MEP systems and functionality. I have two beautiful children. They're second and third grade in the Fairfield Public Systems. And I am also a proud graduate K through 5 of Dwight Elementary School.
Do you mind me asking where your kids went? It's just because are currently at, just because everybody else told us.
They're currently in Stratfield Elementary.
Stratfield. Great.
Yeah, North Stratfield and Woods. And before Turner, Will was worked for a mechanical contractor. So deep mechanical system background.
A great father.
That's right. Mediocre little league coach.
You got great teams here in town, right?
We have just a few slides prepared to try and address some of the key points that we heard, the things that we think are important. Hopefully, you'll interrupt and ask questions. We'd love to make it interactive rather than just, yes.
Is
perfect
Greenwich,
start.
is the Greenwich job, that's public school, right?
Yep.
Just making sure.
ICF, the middle school.
Greenwich Country Day Middle School was ICF. Central Middle School is a traditional exterior wall. Couple of themes that I hope you pick up on as we go. One, this is a personal job for us, right? You heard about alumni, parents in town. We get the perspective of the parent experience during construction. We're taxpayers, and we understand the budget and the mission that we're all on with regard to that. You'll hear from Valerie how we've been successful from the beginning of the process all the way end in terms of setting that budget, getting to a GMP that's within that budget, and then ultimately ending project within and under that GMP. And then Tim will talk about one of the tools that I think makes us different in that we can offer in terms of the control of the major mechanical systems for the project. Being able to procure that equipment directly from the manufacturers, doing it earlier in the design process than having to do the traditional design build through the subcontractors. Does a couple things, allows us to cut out markups, save money, and then be more directly in contact with the manufacturers. So we get a straight story And we have, we start that lead time clock, and we'll hear a little bit more about those later. Start that earlier, so we have schedule certain materials are gonna hit the job. I've already gone into way too much detail about that because I love it.
No, we want to know.
So we'll get into it a little bit more. Let's get started. Just a little bit about us. We're blessed. We're the largest builder both in the United States, but more importantly here in Connecticut. We do about $400 million annually in the Connecticut market, which gives us the attention of the subcontractor market when it's bid time, when it's crunch time. We need the resources to get a project complete. Having that Rolodex of projects that are always out to bid and stuff gets people's attention. We've got a pretty deep bench here in Connecticut. There's 180 of us, give or take, of professional staff, right? This is only a small sampling of the resources that we can bring to bear on the project. We have about 150 craft employees that are also part of our organization. Public school, public work, you're not allowed to self-perform work. But having that capability and that knowledge in-house, right? We're builders. We understand how things go together, and that will be integral into the analysis during the estimate, the planning, and the execution. You know, most of the people we've worked for before, due in large part to our performance. And we like to think people like us. You like to work with people like. I'm pretty fond of these guys myself. Tim, you want to tell them a little bit about the team and how we set it up?
Yeah, so this is our project work chart. This was included in our RFP response, but we did want to bring this up. Most of the individuals that are on this work chart are here today, with the exception of Jake Sohegan, who's down at the bottom. He'd be one of our superintendents on the project. He'd be an area super. He also lives and was born and raised here in Fairfield. And then over on the right-hand side is some of our support staff and our team. Valerie sits over on that because she's there in our office, but we also have an in-house procurement group that's over on that right side. We have a virtual design and construction group, which is a set of architects that work for us, that create our logistics plans. They work with us doing constructability reviews and clash detection. We'll go through a bunch of that as well today. And then we have our Source Blue group. We'll get into some more detail on that, which is our equipment procurement. And then finally, you know, our accountant, who will work very closely with Fairfield's finance group. The things, a couple important things to point out here is clearly you can see that we hand selected this team for this project. And we do that for all of our projects. I've had the good fortune of working with every individual on this team, both in the room today and also on that board. Over the last 25 years, we do that to make sure there's synergy with our team, a team that's going to be transparent and work very closely together, but also with our client and with all of you on the building committee and the Board of Ed, and most importantly, the principal and the staff that are there at Dwight Elementary School.
So everybody from the sort of Jillian level and down are full-time on the site.
Thank you.
Any questions on that?
No, Mike he's your estimator?
Mike is our accountant.
Oh, okay.
He's Fairfield. Okay. Experience?
Yeah, a little bit on our relevant experience. You know, Chad had mentioned earlier that we have a quite a extensive level of work done here in Fairfield dating back about 20 years. That's there down at the bottom of the list with Tomlinson and Roger Ludlow. The Fairfield ECC's on that list. More currently SHU. We have multiple projects that we are performing there currently, and we performed there in the past. So we have a very good resume of projects here in Fairfield, working with the building department and working with the other authorities that have jurisdiction. Down at the bottom is other K-12 and relevant experience, both public and private work. The one that is most similar to this is Greenwich Central Middle School. That project is nearing completion of the new construction. We'll be turning that over in August. But that is a build on a campus with an active middle school at this point. So when we get into some of the logistics, you'll see that the pinch point, at least in the scheme that you have currently forward, that pinch point of those buildings being so close together, we have that same situation. And Chris will get into those details as we go through logistics. But you can see that list. And again, the other point on this list is over on the right-hand side are the names of the people that are on this team that were involved with those projects. So as you can see, there are many times where we're all together, working together on those projects, making sure that you know, we are collaborative and working as a synergistic.
Okay, so now we kind of want to get in a little bit to what matters most on this project, the way we see it, and love to hear your feedback if you agree, disagree, or anything like that. So when we look at this project, we think the key factors are the school and the safety of the community at large, right? So obviously, working on an occupied campus is something we're highly specialized in. Everybody on this team, I can say for my own part, every single project I've ever done has been on an occupied facility or campus. So we know how to be good neighbors, and that would be the approach to this project, is sharing the access with the buses and the parents and the faculty. We see that as a key component to success of this project during the active construction period and then the later demolition period of the existing school. Sharing the community space, we've got the fields when they're still accessible, and the tennis courts down at the bottom. So it's an integral part of the community, and being part of
Allowed to use the tennis courts while the school is open, so they're
perfect. And obviously the neighborhood and the public perception that neighborhood is not going to want to be disrupted. No neighborhood does. If we actually, have people in that neighborhood that we are friends with, right? So part of the community, right? So we know that that's going to be a key component to success here. Component to success of any project is the budget and the schedule, especially when you're working in a public sector. Got to make sure that the budget stays on track and the schedule stays on track. That's also a key component to success as we see it. And then the specific site challenges, just the grade elevation change. We've got about 125 feet of elevation change from the top fields to the entrance at Reading Road. So we know there's going to be significant challenges there in managing that, as well as the adjacent wetland boundaries is how, we look at what matters most on this project. And I'd be interested to know if you guys sort of see the same way, or if there's other significant challenges that
been to the site.
Yeah, I was there this morning.
You were there this morning. You're familiar, so obviously the grade change is a big factor. There's ledge surrounding. We did do soil borings in our last feasibility study. They saw the north and south. It's a thin vein of ledge that goes through the upper field, the back field, which would be the primary building site. I mean, I think it's workable, and you can obviously have to address. There's some contaminated soil that was left on site. Lots of playgrounds around town unfortunately have the same situation, but we'd like to see it go. Obviously, I think it would be the benefit of having to have shovels in the ground is that it can happen, and it can happen safely. But in terms of the challenges, obviously it's an occupied site, and we've got a lot of anxious parents who are excited to see this project approved for a long time. Sat on a long-range facility plan for the Board of Ed for over a decade before we were able to sort of move it through. And unfortunately, we've had some indoor air quality issues. Everything's fine and safe, or we wouldn't have our children there. But
pretty hardy.
But I think everybody knows they're going to have to live through some uncomfortable periods of sharing the site, right? But that the benefit is far outweighs any drawbacks that they have.
So our goal and approach is to make it as comfortable as possible.
Right. I think community outreach is going to be a big part of this for us, and Antonio and Jacton is going to help us with that. We just want there to be community weigh-in so that people are able to kind of like give their feedback and concerns, whatever they may be. And Nicole will be your PTA liaison for the duration of the project.
I'm gonna try and
already got a spreadsheet.
Liaison. I don't want them. I'll be going to every PTA meeting. Anybody in Tony, obviously, if you want to come, but I'm hoping to get the questions answered so that they can understand it, make things easier for you guys. And Antonia,
she has like an ongoing spreadsheet with their questions, and then she's answering them.
And we'll be feeding you the information so you can go to those meetings prepared.
Exactly. And I'm just going to take all the words you guys give me and put them into non-construction terms for the people who understand it to hopefully keep the uproar down. But I think everybody's excited about the school. So
We started the.
they are on make sure that they become.
Already, we do a lot of business with Karen Leica and her architecture firm, and she backs up to the property.
She's one of the neighbors.
Yeah, she's up, right. So it's apparent, like, what are the parents thinking? Like, what's concerning? And she said, we worry about air quality because of existing building and building next door, right? Everybody kind of doesn't know what the plan is exactly, like where's the school gonna go, what's gonna happen with the
Yeah,
pool,
we're
like all
not
that.
married to the
all that kind of
feasibility
stuff.
studies that came before. We want to
Yes.
place it in the right place.
You've hit all the right things. But it's real, and right, we have to probably work through those things.
Well, since you asked if we had questions, I will just ask, and you guys can feel free to continue, but do you have a way to manage, some of, like when you tweak the demo of the existing school once the new school is built? Some
The
environmental.
first thing is managing that anxiety, to me, you talk about it, is just information, right? Just communicating and listening to the questions. As it relates to the demo specifically, we were talking about this morning. I'll show you an image that will give you sort of an in-between timeline view. But hitting that over the summer and getting most of that work done before most anybody's back is the biggest advantage that the schedule currently presents.
Do you have a way to manage, I'm sorry, just because it came up, the dust level, whatever the dust particles that come up?
Yeah, we talk about what you did in Greenwich, guys.
We would
Your thing.
use misters, right? So there's different ways. You have turbine misters that go around the perimeter of the site. They can control it at that location. There's also misters that go at the bucket of the machines that'll also mist down.
Okay.
In addition to that, to ensure that the community is safe, many times your hygienist will put air monitoring around the project site, which are just picking up dust particulates and then measuring that the dust particulates aren't leaving the site, or making sure that the dust particulates aren't hazardous in any way. So there's different measures and controls, and it's a very controlled process to be able to take down a building like that, especially through the hazmat process or anything that might be in a 1960s building. But yes, that's very controlled, and there's measures you can take from start to finish to ensure that you're keeping everything in consolidating right there in the location.
Thanks for answering those. I'm sorry to.
Please,
Welcome.
please, appreciate it. The most exciting side is always pre-construction, right, Valerie?
Nap at this point. So in pre-construction, obviously, the biggest risk or challenge that we face is staying on budget, right? So we are on the front lines in that effort. So what do we do to actually make that project successful and be able to stay on budget, right? We do continuous estimating. Now, milestone estimates are incredibly important to be able to identify a snapshot for communication at a point in time of a coordinated effort, right? But that time in between, that design timeframe in between those milestones estimates is the time when we can be working hand in hand with the design team and the town and really understanding, what are the decisions that we need to go through and make and when. And so our job is to go through and be able to give you that kind of real-time feedback so you can make those timely, educated decisions about really what is best for the town of Fairfield. We look at constructability. Constructability, we already talked about, the fact that there's below grade issues. Nobody wants to take their budget for their building and pour it into the ground, right? So we work with everyone to try and understand what are the opportunities for situating the building in a certain way, or what are the opportunities for different types of ground improvements or components that we could do so that we are doing the most cost efficient methods possible so that we can bring that money out of the ground and back into the building. We'll look at life cycle cost analysis, right? Does it make sense for us to get the lowest cost right now as a first cost? Or are there areas where we really want to invest money in upfront so that our operation and maintenance costs down the road aren't burdened, right? We'll look at leveraging the model. During pre-construction, we'll work with the design team hand in hand, and we'll work on early coordination and early clash detection. The ultimate goal is to reduce the amount of RFIs, change orders, so that the construction team and design team in construction can go through and focus on what needs to be done. There is a project that we just bid out recently, this past fall, a school project in Greenwich, not that one specifically, but and we did a complete underground under slab coordination, all of the utilities under slab in advance in pre-construction. We bid the project. We got to the first MEP coordination meeting with the team, And on day one in that meeting, we signed off with everyone and the design team, Turner and the contractors, no RFIs, no changes, moved on to the next thing, right? That's the kind of position we want to be able to be in, to be able to do all that work up front now. We have that time, we have the technology. Let's take advantage of that right now so that when we get out into the field, we've already bought everything, you know, the way that we want to be able to buy it. Jillian and I worked on a project recently in New Canaan where we had a similar issue with steel. We knew that supply chain issues were causing steel, extended lead times. So we decided to buy the steel package early. First thing everyone is worried about is we're going to buy steel early. There's going to be changes down the road. We're going to have, issues with that. So we coordinated about 90% of the MEPs, structurals and architecturals before we actually bought the steel package, and thereby eliminating, those RFIs, reducing our change orders, and allowing Jillian and her team in the field to be able to focus on things like quality control as opposed to, asking questions and RFIs at that point. Things were already resolved. That's one of our goals in pre-con. Mitigating supply chain risks as well. We have a group called Source Blue, which gives us a lot of information and insight into materials and manufacturers and where they actually fabricate everything. So we can investigate in pre-construction. Is this coming from overseas? Is this coming from Mexico? Is this coming from the US? And really understanding what those lead times are. And if any of those lead times really are saying to us, we need to buy this early as an early package, right? Investigating all of that up front. I know I keep saying the word early, but that is essentially what we do. We don't get off the mark like on a slow jog through a marathon. We get off on a sprint because this time frame, up in, especially at the schematic design phase, is such a critical time frame to be able to make those decisions. We have the leverage now to be able to start making those calls now that are going to be so much more difficult down the road to be able to make. We want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to be able to be a part of that decision-making process early.
Yeah, maybe you can explain some of the results of all that.
Being one of the top construction management companies in the state, right, and around doing all the school, do you have any other advantages where you can actually set the price of the steel on projects you have moving forward and say, I need this by this certain date? Do you have that pull with those vendors because of who you guys are?
Set the price as opposed to bid.
As opposed to like,
We have to do.
you'll bid, but you can still set a price. You may have a set price where now you're bidding at that set price because that's what the steel is gonna cost, because you can actually kind of dictate where that pricing is.
We have to make sure that we're living within the public procurement rules that are tied to the reimbursement. We will have a very dialed in estimate of what we expect and want that price to be from the market. But generally speaking, in order to follow that process and be compliant, we need to let the market go and process what they think the price of that document is back to us with that bid.
Long or the short is it's illegal for you guys to be like, this price or you're not getting.
I'll buy it for, you got 100, you say 90, whoever can get to 80 wins. That unfortunately in the public bid arena, that's not something.
But our relationship with the market, for all the work that Chad mentioned that we do in the state, we work with these contractors all the time, and they know when they're working on a Turner job that their price reflects that. And it usually reflects it in that they want to be competitive and they want to work on our projects. We typically will go through and get in our procurement process on average 3 to 4 bids per package overall for all the packages. But for the large volume packages, your site work, your steel, your MEPs, we're getting 4 to 7 bids per package in a public bidding environment, which is not easy to do, especially when you're talking about in some areas of Fairfield County where, it's harder to go through and get subcontractors to go through and come down in this part of the state. But they are doing that because they want to work in a Turner job. They know that our safety culture is that we want to make sure that every person in and around that site goes home safely to their families every night. They know that we have a job site culture of respect, and they know that our operational planning and execution is stellar and done up front so that it makes their job easier. So we do have those kind of relationships where they want to work with us and their pricing typically reflects working, working on a Turner project. And, we talk about, our success in procurement and getting a lot of those bids, looking at these projects, and I'll look at Greenwich Central Middle, we estimated that project at 97 million, throughout the timeframe, held that budget as a team, throughout. GMP'd it for $3 million under, and that project is expected to be able to come in and is tracking on or just below what the number is right now. We have, predictability in our results because of the effort that we go through and put in upfront to make sure that we're resolving all of these issues in advance, and we don't have surprises or risks.
Would you mind going back to the previous slide? So the Greenwich Country Day School, that was your ICF project?
No, that one was not. We've done a few. This is at the Stanwich campus, that particular picture. So that's on the high school campus. The ICF job was the then middle school on the Old Church Road campus.
Okay. Which you did not do.
We did do.
You did. You did. Okay.
They're two different locations for the same thing. They bought another school property halfway through our involvement with them.
Sorry, thank
Is
you.
ICF of interest to you guys? Is that what I'm picking up on?
No.
Okay.
Some of us.
Right, so that was Tony's job, right? Certainly a lot of things learned from the project, right? It changes certain things, how you approach, certainly as you prepare, depending on the system you use, how you prepare for in-wall rough-in and provisions for things in the future. 'Cause sort of once it's set, it's set. Change it, you form it differently than you form concrete traditionally, right? You go up in lifts on both sides rather than one face and the other. Definitely something we could explore. Performs fabulously from a thermal perspective.
That was our main, our goal was the sustainability end of it all. So we did meet with a gentleman that Jeff luckily introduced us to, who does this on the private sector much more. He's trying to push it more
The
into
one
the
who
school.
has
The house,
the
yeah,
house.
yeah, technically.
Lee Oberlin, yeah. And so we went and listened to what he had to say, and we were all, it's his presentation, I would hope, in a good way, but we all really liked the sustainability.
That kind of optionality thing is something that Ballast Group is really good at early on in pre-con. You say like, hey, the massing of the building is the massing of the building. There's going to be X square foot of exterior wall. We can we can run the model and say, all right, if we go NCF, it's going to run this dollars per square foot.
That's what I think we're most
go-
curious about. Is like, how much will this actually cost?
We go cold form framing with a brick facade, it's going to look this. And here are the thermal performance characteristics of a wall section like that. And then we can make a decision.
You guys were, because you guys were the second school in Connecticut that did ICF, if I'm not mistaken, right, for that Greenwich Country Day. And so I'm assuming we learned a lot as far as the concrete setting, when the wall blew out, how we can recover and fix it back and
The
everything
wall
like
blew
that.
out at
Brookfield.
Brookfield.
That was a one, yeah, that was a one
That's
side.
because, that was,
Right. And
We
we,
do have lessons learned though. I still have lessons learned, but we have lessons learned on it.
I think that that's the hesitation and understandably, the hesitation that some people have with the ICF was the one public pour that they did, but when you understand what they did and no clue why they did it, it makes a little more sense.
I wouldn't let that one data point detract you.
Right.
Right. It's-
No, I'm looking more at the 500 elementary schools in Kentucky that now require ICF to get any state funding and why they feel that it's such a great thing.
You have a good
There's
concept.
several in Massachusetts now too, like
Yeah.
17 in Massachusetts.
And we all know how Boston loves to be ahead of the game on.
We know that we're still sort of at the beginning of, I don't even want to call it a trend, because I hope it's something that will, be enjoyed.
But
as time.
asbestos was also awesome at one time, so like, who knows?
All right, we're getting down a rabbit hole.
That's what I'm saying. We are interested, but it's not.
Okay. And we can help with that and have experience with that.
Okay.
I think about, like, if I was gonna build a house by the beach, that's how I would build it.
Yeah.
Or maybe anywhere.
We're high and dry, but we're still thinking of long-term sustainability.
I like it. This is the bit on the mechanical equipment and the different procurement model that I was talking about the build beginning. You wanna go to?
Yeah, we've talked about this a couple of times, so we'll hit on this pretty briefly, but this is one of the tools we have and we can offer with our Source Blue group. We buy, as it says, $5 billion worth of mechanical equipment. That includes generators, switch gears, lighting packages, right down to, generators and the like. We had used this at Central Middle School just to ensure, based on all the lead times that we're seeing out there now, some with submittals in that process could be up to a year. By the time you get through submittals and you release your products. We use this at Central Middle School with the state process. It does require an early plan completion review. So there is an early PCR. The state does support it. It goes out to bid. Our Source Blue group gets 3 bids from 3 different manufacturers to meet the state requirements. But it allowed us there to be able to hit the schedule and not have any issues associated with those lead times that are extended. Again, I don't want to sit here and say that it takes some effort, because it does. Between having an early PCR with Mark and Jeff and with all the local authorities, you do have to go through that process and have an early PCR and you have to plan for it.
We've seen the benefit. The other thing that's cool is if you think about the traditional model, right, you're going to specify an air handler. It's going to be a York or Equal, this or that. If we follow the traditional model, it goes out to bid to the street. The mechanical subcontractors each go to their vendor market, get the best price for a spec compliant air handler. Somebody might carry Carrier, somebody might carry York, somebody might carry Train. And whoever's low on bid day, that's who we as a town end up with as that manufacturer. We have no vision into it. We have no say in it. This model, right, we do it directly. It is a public bid in that generally the lowest responsible bid wins. However, it's structured in 2 parts. There's an earlier piece that's around qualifications and compliance with the specifications. So you get a read on, I'm going to submit on this Train air handler. You said it, this many CFM, this ton of cooling, et cetera. I can do that. I have this version of controls. We get all that ahead of time. And then a week or 2 later, we get the numbers. So we have vision into that selection and maybe some optionality there depending on how we structure the spec. And it eliminates a lot of markups in between. Sub's got to go to a vendor goes to a supplier. Each one of those wants to get paid a long way. A lot. So any questions on that?
The Source Blue process, is that something unique just to your company?
It is. Right. Others have started businesses like this that are in their infancy. Frankly, like I think O'Bain has a smaller version of what this is. But this is a proven company that's over 20 years old. It's been doing this. We're in the factories of these companies regularly. It's pretty cool. Let's keep moving. We'll talk about another exciting slide.
Yes. So this is, it's a state reimbursed project. So we just wanted to point out, we have the experience, from what we had shown you earlier with the relevant experience with schools, with OGA. We had, with Michelle and Andrea and Kermit. You all know Kermit. I imagine over at the state, he's been there for some time.
100 years, I think.
I think so. But we have that experience. We understand the process. We understand how collaborative the process needs to be between us and the owner's rep, as well as with their local authorities, because they all have to sign off. Getting through the schematic design review. As of late, when we did Stratford, the DDR process was put to the side. They weren't doing that any longer, and then you were going right to PCR. So we'll see how that, runs here.
Just PCR.
Just PCR. It's just PCR now, yeah. So they've changed a little bit. But we do have that, and we do have a detailed schedule that we put in the RFP response that goes through the steps that we went through on the last few projects with the state on that. The other one is CHRO, Alvin Bingham over there. He's going to have his say in how we break down our big packages. He's going to be looking to give minority business enterprises and disadvantaged business enterprises as much opportunity as possible. So we have a lot of experience working with Alvin, not only on K-12 work, but also with all other state work. And breaking down those packages and coming to an agreement, because what he wants and what we're willing to give, or there's got to be a middle ground there to make sure we're getting the bids that Valerie had talked about, where we're trying to get 3 to 4 at least per package. So we have to keep that.
Right, so there's like a minimum, we understand, or
there's a minimum. You have to endeavor to get a minimum of 3 bids from the state. Yep.
endeavor. You don't actually have to award it.
No, I mean, you have to show all of your efforts to be able to achieve 3
They
bids.
recognize that at the end of the day, the market has to show up for you too. So that if you've done a good faith effort to to get the best out of the market. And the market doesn't ultimately show up on bid day. They don't always hold that against you.
And honestly, the CHRO, when you break it down, those are the ones we seem to have more issues with getting those full 3 to 4 bids because they want it broken down to such a small degree. And then these smaller SBE firms aren't interested in performing work. So we have to find that middle ground, and we'll do that as a team to find that middle ground as to what the right packages are to meet the CHRO.
Just want to do a little time check. We're together till 11:30, inclusive of all the Q&A roughly.
Yeah.
Okay. We have like 300 more slides.
Take us through it. We'll try to stop and try.
No, I appreciate it. It's great. It's what we love, right? I want Chris to get a chance to go through safety schedule and approach and put on MEP. Just. Okay.
Perfect. So project approach, right? We've gone through the.
You can stand. I know you want to stand.
Yeah, I'll wait till the logistics.
I can't talk and sit. I don't know.
I know I can't either, but I'll try.
Like caged animals.
I mean, it helps that it's 800 degrees in here to
I
make
was
you
gonna
want
say,
to
if you
stay
stand, you
seated.
might get the hotter air up there. I don't know.
Possibly.
I feel like it's cooling off. It's cooling off.
I'll stand up.
Keep your fleece up tighter.
I know. Bad choice. So project approach. I think we're going to start off with safety before we get into kind of the schedule and the logistics of how we're going to build this building. I think when it comes to the construction industry, I think it's fair to say, at least in my perspective, that Turner is number one when it comes to safety. I believe we set the standard, and I believe the rest of the industry follows. Day in and day out, I think, it's not only important as far as the activities and the safety that takes place within the fence line, but it's also taking into consideration what happens outside the fence line. And I know just the proximity of where we're building this building in terms of adjacent to an occupied space, proximity of a residential neighborhood, there's a lot of concern. It's our job on our end as a team here to kind of mitigate those concerns and eliminate those risks. Just kind of high level, what we do on a day-to-day basis, the men and women that enter our job site, you got to consider them as industrial athletes, right? They're working, they're swinging hammers, things of that nature. We got to mitigate that risk. What we do each and every morning is we hold a stretch and flex.
How what they're doing. I was like,
Yeah, everyone's doing, we get everyone together. It's a collaborative effort. Stretch for 10 minutes, listen to some music. But then what that leads into is like morning announcements, right? Identify the hazards for that day, any logistics changes, anything outside the fence, that might impact those days' activities. It's getting the message out to each and every individual. After that stretch and flex, each crew breaks off, performs their PTPs, pre-task plans. Basically, it creates the dialogue amongst crew and trade partners as far as what they're working on that day. It's the responsibility not only of that of the crew lead, but also each individual to identify the hazards associated to those associated to the work, as well as mitigating those risks. And then it's us as a team, every individual that walks onto that job site is the responsibility of safety. It's not just a safety manager, safety director. It's not just the field staff. When Tony walks out in the field, he has just as much responsibility for safety as our safety director when they visit.
You stretch too.
I do. We did this morning in the office.
We did.
before we left.
I now just want to go to one of your job sites and watch a large group of construction people.
I'd love for you to come down and Greenwich and see the morning routine.
Yes, yeah. We have some.
Or you can come to Trumbull.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, here's an example right here, but it's our responsibility to then go throughout the day and verify that everyone is working safely and according to their plan. And we have some documentation through inspections that we perform during the day. And then we close the day off by having a huddle with all crew leads to discuss those days' activities, the next day's activities, as well as identify any constraints or safety issues that might be following for that day so we can prepare ourselves for that next day.
You explain the image on the bottom right.
Yeah, definitely. So I know, the vision of, Dwight Elementary School is kind of still there, but just to kind of give the assurance as far as what we're actually living at Central Middle School, this is the distance between the new gymnasium and the old media center. That's less than 30 feet. It's about 22 feet away. So us as a team, we're familiar with performing a build of this nature adjacent to an occupied space.
Building out in the distance as well. That's part of the new school as well. So we're coming right around the corner of their media center. So not getting any closer to that and worried about noise and impact to work.
at least you don't have windows facing from the existing school. That's our concern, is that we're all windows facing the site. kids are gonna be like this.
My larger concern is if we build where one F says on that same idea, is the fact that you're now building up much higher than the existing school and you're going to be sitting extremely close with that drop down angle towards the classrooms. My kids are on that side. My one kid, and both will be eventually over there, but how a typical fence, like God forbid something go wrong up top. What are you guys gonna do to secure that? What type of fencing will you use? Is there a different angle that you're gonna take? It's like right now, nothing's rolling down into the old media center. What?
Like at Stratford, you had that extra tall.
Yeah, that's my concern.
At Stratford, we had to build very close to the property line. There was a car wash on the other side, but we had a engineered 40-foot sports fence put up. Be able to protect anything that came off of that into the parking lot of the car wash. But they're engineered posts because you have to have them engineered for that height. Determine what the proper height is, but you know, use like a ball netting, a small mesh ball netting.
Essentially like almost cocooning yourselves.
Yeah.
Separate.
Yeah, so there's opportunity. Yeah, we have overhead protection here. At one point, we did have debris netting that we, as logistics warranted, we did remove that. But I think part of that effort in terms of safety and how we approach this job is just open line of communication. That's kind of one of the key successes on our end, open line of communication with Principal Maniscalco. I hope I pronounced her name correctly.
Who?
Me.
Oh, Maniscalco.
Principal Maniscalco.
She's nearing retirement. She may or may not be the new principal when it opens.
Okay, whoever may be her successor, but that's part of our success at Central Middle School is our open line communication with the principal and his team, text communication, informing them what we're working on periodically so they can prepare themselves as well. So that safety, just want to touch on schedule. So kind of upfront about the approval process, there is a heavy lift with that. But then, once we get through the approval process, you're on more of a local authority having jurisdiction or HJ town approval. We're very familiar with the building department. I worked with, building official Mahoney and deputy building official Clemente multiple times. So I'm very familiar with them, open line of communication with them. Once we get through the permitting process, it's then the start of construction. This schedule is very similar, many parallels to the Central Middle School project that we're on now. All starting in January, coming out of the ground, towards the tail end of the winter time, getting ourselves into, essentially through the early portion of the summer, getting that building height through the course of the summer, and then leaving ourselves, that 7 to 8 months that we need once the building's temporary watertight to complete the job. So it's just ensuring, I think, mitigating the challenges. We utilize P6 schedule. It's a critical path method. It basically identifies the long lead path of that schedule. It's a tool that we use, we update regularly. It helps us be transparent as far as our constraints, working as a team to clear those constraints. Tony will touch on it a little bit, but the schedule is not just a field tool, it's also an engineering tool. We can't build if we don't have. So I have to work closely with Tony and his team to ensure that we have the materials when we need them. Before I do hand it over to Tony, there's just a couple other things we want to just talk about.
The photo, Chris.
Fast track rooms.
Yeah.
So part of, as far as, helping us, this is a quality standpoint, schedule standpoint, get the end user involved. What we ended up doing at Central Middle School is create a fast track. So basically we choose a classroom space and we expedite the actual fit out. This allows us to work through constructability issues, quality issues, give a touch and feel of what the space is going to be in a timely manner. So it allows us to pivot and change if needed, or at least ask the question. So when it does come time to actually perform that work, so this allows us to once again clear constraints that might impact the field schedule. Do you want to touch on real quick?
I've worked with Chris over at the dorm project at Sacred Heart. So I've had some experience with the way he works schedule. I don't work in a silo. I am very hands-on, and it's critical for me to take the ball that Val has started and run downhill with it, right? So again, the schedule is achievable, but the schedule will not be achievable if I don't get everything submitted on a timely fashion be able to be digested and approved, released, and then on-site in time, logistically as well on time, just so it's not a logistic cluster for Chris to deal with. So some of the ways we deal with it on the engineering side is it's a collaboration with Chris. It's constant realignment of the contract items list, the material tracking log, as well as the coordination meetings. And it's just a constant collaboration amongst the super and the engineer. It's not us working in silos. Chris doesn't just hand the piece of paper that is the schedule off to me and I digest it. It's really a community effort. And in the six
Here a little bit, we're running short on time, sorry.
Yeah, no, so in the effort of time, the previous slide was just our approach, our initial approach as far as access to this, the site itself. So the next couple slides are, once again, our initial plan of how to approach the project. So what here is our initial phase. I think the most important thing here is to minimize the interruption and day-to-day operations of the school, what everyone's familiar with. We're looking to maintain that bus loop that comes across, the western portion of site, as well as that parent drop-off. There will be a period of time that we do need to encroach in that existing faculty parking lot just to get that enabling site work. Once we kind of get ourselves, that site demolition takes place, work our way into the hill, we can then move that site fence line, which you'll see in the next slide, inboard. And then this will kind of go back to what the day-to-day feel of that school looks like, right? Maintaining that drop-off, bus loop, and so forth. Our ideal world would be, if we can make a clear delineation, Jersey barriers, fence, or so forth of separating traffic, but we understand that might not be feasible at this point in time. But this is overall our site setup. And then that is kind of the phasing of the new construction. And then I think you made a point as far as what does the demolition look like and so forth. One thing is, it's just currently the schedule has us demoing the greater portion of this building through the summertime. So we have about 2 months starting in July on demolition. So when students do return back in the fall time, there might be some discomfort at the initial start of school, but the bulk of the demolition is going to be done, right? We're going to shift our entrance to now the southern portion. This is just an emergency gate, but then we're going to introduce those loops again. And then what we also have here is parking on site is going to be limited. Temp parking lot here, some parking in front of the ECC here, but once again, doing this in a vacuum, we have proposed additional parking buildings and so forth to kind of help ease that tension for the faculty part. And here's the end product.
We're gonna have dialogue around that, right? We came up with this on our own. We gotta figure out what really works with your operation.
Still have to pick a building.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps going over this, and I'm like, they did a great job, but like.
You wanna scooch one of those wings in a little bit, that way.
Also to the right, if you go back a slide, to the right as the cars come up around the bus loop, that's actually, there's a significant parking lot there that the parents use actually, if there's like an event or something. Not a lot of teachers use it, but they could potentially alternatively park there. And it would just mean that parents would have to park, parents would just have, for events that would maybe just have to park on along Reading Road, which overflow they already do anyway.
Have you guys worked with Tecton before?
Yeah.
Hand it over.
So Tony was kind of starting to lead into this a little bit when he was talking about working with Chris with the schedule, but our main goal and mission is transparency in the communication process. You have to stay informed so that you can inform all your stakeholders, right? All of your Fairfield residents. So we manage that through transparency in our engineering, in our communication, in our information management, tracking materials, managing the budget, keeping it up to date so that, as we move through the project, you're aware of constantly where it stands. And when we get to the closeout portion of the project, that's not an extended period of time because we've stayed on top of that information. Go right into the portion.
I have to staff this one. Well, Chris, can you come on up here? So really fast, quickly, thank you for your time again. There's a big word here on this board that stands out to us today. It's dedicated, right? I don't think on every project we have an MVP manager, let alone one that's dedicated for 100% of the time. I think we've heard across the team that word dedication is big on us. It aligns with the mission statement, right? Kind of odd to hear that from the MVP guy, proud president, proud father. This means a lot to me here, right? High level, BDC, how do I get involved? Why am I here, right? Source Blue, we talked about the early package. My goal is to take that from paper to tangible product, right? I'm gonna be managing it early on with the design team, there's coordination. We're gonna be tracking lead times, factory install dates, any factory testing the design team wants to be a part of. I will be that person, right? Coordinating lead times, tracking deliverables, measurable. When's it on site? Why is it critical? Energizing, power, gear, checkout systems, everything. That's me. I'm your guy. Thank you. Long lead times, we talked about that. Public utilities, like I said, I'll be on job 100% of the time. Early on, I'll be with site utility enabling all the way through closeout and owner training. Maybe even holding a camera at the end. You're lucky. Don't know. Quality control. After working with our BDC team to talk about what validated pre-construction, right? Class free detection. I'm going to carry that process through BIM coordination, right? We're going to manage our MEP trades, work with our architectural details, other construction aspects, build a fully developed model, right? That's my goal. We're going to encourage design team to be working on working sessions. For those paper RFIs, we're going to work through them, right? We're going to show constraints. We're going to get through that process pretty efficiently, but I have good faith in that. Or that too, right? Quality control, owner engagement, community outreach we discussed, big thing, right? This is exciting. We're building a building that's going to outlast my life. So why not bring the future faculty, facilities team, even students, hold the town hall, BIM coordination, right? We talked about that fast track room. We can do it virtually easily too, right? Line of sight, exit signs, fire alarm, we like it, great. Facilities teams, right? Clearances, hey, these are workability areas. This is a tight spot. You have maintenance, you have clearance issues. Let's get ahead of that. Let's put our feet in the shoes of the people ahead of us, right? Coming down the line. That's the common goal. The next people, students, the town. I'm not nervous. I'm enthusiastic. I apologize, right? During that commissioning, right? I'll be the guy doing quality control checks, right? Those products come in. I'll be taking photos. I'll be getting serial numbers. I'll be doing all the stuff that no one cares about. That's me. I'm your guy. I'll be working with our site superintendents, right? Going through, make sure our MEPs are aligned with architectural trades. We're roughing in a wall. We're calling town for inspection, right? Dealing with utility companies. We're closing up that wall ahead of schedule, right? Pre-checkouts, all those things. Everything in the spec, making sure our quality control documents align with our coordination, our documents, our specifications. Again, thank you. I will be your guy. Transitioning in, right? We say any CM's going to tell you closeout starts day one. No kidding, right? So does commissioning. That's a big thing, especially with schools, right? Commissioning is huge, right? We want to make sure we have a functional building. We want to make sure the user's happy. We want to be fully involved. That process is going to start early on, probably right after coordination, right? We're on site, CX agent, I'll be communicating with them. We're going to line our meetings, we're going to make sure we're on the same plan, pre-functional checklist, right? Give us a list. These are 10 things you want done. We're going to get them done. Turner's going to have 30. Don't worry about that. That's going to transition to functional testing, right? System startup, energizing, electrical energizing plan. That's critical, right? This big energy here, right? Safety is number one goal. I take high value in constructability, right? You go first, you go second. Are you doing it safe, right?
You can get Will's passion for MEP.
We get it. It's wonderful.
Town. That's my thing.
The chart on the right, it's the most recent data from the market on the equipment based on the MEP narrative, right? So you get a feel for the lead time, right? Some of those will stretch into being a full year by the time you add in the submittal processing time and shipping. All the more reason we need to look at the Source Blue early procurement. Thanks, Will.
I'll wrap it up with part of that dedication, right, is transparency. Back to that date, we'd estimated lead times. We'll be very transparent about that, right? We're only as good as the schedule we can put in place, and we're only as good as the schedule we follow. The transparency on that with owner and us is critical. And again, thank you.
All right, I'll sit for this one, but community builders, right? Building this building goes beyond just building a structure and a school for everybody to use. And for us as a team to kind of give back to the community. You heard Will, I think 5 times say he's from Fairfield, but so is everyone else here. And we just want to ensure that we create a collaborative effort and we get the school community excited. We understand how important this is to the community itself. And we just don't say that we do it, right? You know, here are examples. Current project, top right-hand corner, Central Middle School reached out to us, hey, can you help us build some garden planters and so forth? So we got involved, we built them, we got our trade partners involved to give back to the community. To the left side, touch a truck. One of my projects I held got the ECC excited. They came out to the job site. They were able to kind of sit in the excavator, touch the big tires, things of that nature. It's giving back to the community, getting everyone involved, and not only build a building, but create experiences as well.
Hopefully you felt our passion as town residents, as parents, as taxpayers, but as a team, right? This is a group of people that like hanging out and spending 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. together with one another in a trailer. We're excited, right? We would love to do this job. Right? I think we have some tools that others don't. We have I think an added level of education and focus on this. I'm gonna be driving by pretty darn regularly, making sure that we're doing what we're saying we're gonna do, right? We're gonna see one another in the grocery store, PTA meetings and events around town. We have to be on our game, and we will be. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks.
I think you've answered a lot of the questions that we had. I'm gonna open it to the board for anybody have any specific?
The picture you guys showed, I'm gonna call it a dashboard.
Yep.
That's a website, is that a website or is that a?
It's actually a report that it's a PDF report that we generate from, it pulls data from like kind of a couple of different locations that we store data. So it's gonna give you schedule information, it's gonna give you financial information.
It can be website based as well.
Yeah.
That's a standard for you guys is,
Standard monthly.
it's a,
To inform you on all the, key component of the project.
I'm sure it was, it's not a real-time website, that's what I was just.
Like, are we gonna have access to that or are you just gonna send us PDFs?
New PDF, or we can make it a website. Whatever you guys want.
It depends on the client. Some have a pretty strict requirement of like, I would need a written monthly report. That's that version.
Okay.
Other clients want to see that full-time access to
Like
the schedule data, like a dashboard.
How often do you double check and update the calendar, like to really, because I know like you can't do it daily. You can't be like,
Project
"Oh, it's
schedule?
one day, now it's two." Like how often do you really sit down and go, are we on task? Or are we weekly?
Yeah. There are daily conversations of realignment between the team as well.
Yeah.
How far is your look ahead when you have a meeting? Is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month?
So the scheduling system that we follow is called the last planner system, which is an industry sort of term, and there's elements to that.
Mhm.
The first is what's called the make ready planning. That's a 6-week out look ahead that focuses on, we're supposed to be doing 6 weeks from now. Have all the material we need to do that. Are there any constraints or answers that we don't have? And then you pull back from that, it's what we call a weekly work plan. Where literally day by day, it's by task, Chris carries around in his pocket on an app. It could say, okay, today's Tuesday. It should be roughing the lights in these 10 classrooms and this area of the building. And he can confirm whether that's happening or not. And that we can grade, how did we do today? Right? At the end of the week, we tally up what we call our plan % complete, essentially your grade for the test. We want to be about 80%. Why is that? If you're 100, you're not trying hard enough. Right? You're making it too easy. 80 means you're pushing yourself and nothing's going to be perfect. We track it down to that.
I know you guys work on the ECC at Ward. Have you done more recent early childhood centers across the state?
We
in the last
built,
5 years?
we built out a couple daycare facilities in the New Wakeman Boys and Girls Club on Madison Avenue in Bridgeport.
Oh, I'm familiar.
Those are pre-K.
There's just the specific, standards and
Was
go along with.
school, it was
It's not just pre-K, but it's children with inclusions, IEPs, right, that have very specific needs. So we just want to be sure that you're familiar and up to date.
my last job with the ECC project.
Okay. Where was that?
King School in Stanford.
You did the Boys and Girls in Madison, not the one right here in the Smuggle one, right?
Both.
You did both.
It was just there last week, award ceremony, they handed hands
You
ceremony.
were in hand in hand, yeah. I'm on the board of Wakeman. And
Great.
I feel like they do it on purpose. They always put it on my daughter's birthday. I
Oh,
can't ever go to it.
I don't know. Who decides? Kareem.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else from the board with a question that mine really goes around? Are we at time?
We're at time, but they're.
Fix
I
the
mean,
hair.
they honestly, like some of the questions that are some that we were like, it's really, they just answered the scheduling question. I'm kind of skipping this one because we still don't know what. No.
This is the team that you guys would have on the project.
So who would be so you, who we'd be talking to the
Jillian.
most and say Jillian, okay.
Jillian, are you local? Do you mind me asking?
Not currently. I did grow up in Fairfield County and I did some education in Fairfield, so.
It's okay, you don't.
So-
Not-
Fairfield, I'm sorry.
Where do you live today?
I live in Guilford.
Guilford, okay.
Who sits in the OAC meetings on weekly?
OAC?
It'll be myself. I'll be your contact from pre-construction right through closeout. So I'll be involved all the way through. And then
Basically this.
Jillian, and then at times with the OAC, we'll bring in our superintendent to talk about schedule. We'll bring in the right key individuals to talk.
Or other.
Jason, are you gonna ask your question or can I ask it? Because I'm gonna poach it. Yeah.
Which one?
Are you comfortable with me coming to your meetings, your OAC?
Any member of the board.
Or any member?
Of course. Anytime you want, not just at the meeting.
I mean, Central Middle School, the building committee chair is at every meeting.
Yeah.
Sitting with us.
Do you have another question?
Oh, yeah, how many other projects, like, I know you're saying that we're gonna have a pretty decent team that's on site all the time, but for the people like Tim, Jill, are there other projects you're working on that are gonna overlap with this and where are they located?
Tim would be the only one that would have any other projects under his responsibility. Everyone else is dedicated to this.
You tend to be like more towards Greenwich, right?
I'm Greenwich, Fairfield County. Our office is in Charlton, so I'm on this border. Well,
The Greenwich Central Middle School will be done by the time this starts.
yes.
Tim will never have more than 3 or 4 that he's looking after at one time, so we usually try and keep sort of 25%.
Yeah, good question. Okay, I think that's it for us. Yeah? Well, thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time
you.
to come in. We're sorry, it actually did cool down.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It's a sign.
Feel bad for the first right before you. We were all sweating.
But you're not.
Nobody needs to see that.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You. I know we're the only thing between you and lunch, so I appreciate it.
All good, all good. That's why I brought the muffins with, feel free, keep pushing the muffins. You guys don't have to have them. But
They're delicious muffins.
They're
Delicious.
delicious. So they've got like, whole vegetable and fruit in each one.
She's trying to push
My
that they're
kids didn't want to
healthy.
eat them this morning either. I was like, come on, they're healthy for you. Never said, that never works.
You want to adjourn the meeting for?
So what a.
Yes, yes.
Motion to adjourn. Or what is it?
Motion to suspend.
Motion to.
Meeting. Can I have a second?
For
Jason.
the meeting, right?
For the meeting at 11:38. Okay, all those in favor, guys?
Aye.
Thank you, aye. Thank you again. Thank you, it was nice.
Thank you. Nice meeting you all. Thank you very much.
All line up, but we would be
Thanks.
handshaking for days.
Yes.
So hot in here.
I want to see this.
Yeah. Please.
It has changed even in my time, and I've been here for 6 years. We've had 3 dragons.
Yeah, that was.
Been opposed a few times for that.
I don't like.
Minority owned business.
No, I just don't like that idea. Because somewhere there might be a female trying to start up a glass business and who's actually like has a.
Isn't Fairfield Glass owned by a woman?
Kia and her dad.
Oh, that's the
He
owner.
does run, but she is not a manufacturer.
No, she's not.
An installer only. I supplied her glass.
Oh, okay. I like her.
Oh my God, I love her.
I like her work. Oh, that work.
Not here.
Where's the mic?
The microphone's in that half.
Thank you. Come on. You guys are over on this side. Sit, stand, whatever you prefer. I'm good. How are you? Good to see you again.
See you again as well.
Oh, thank you.
Let's make coffee. Yes, good to see you.
Hey, screensaver, Mark. Game last night.
See, I thought they swept on Sunday and I'm
I
like.
know, I didn't know they were playing Monday too.
Familiar face. How are you?
Shake hands. Yeah, that was good. Well,
I'm sorry. She's saying, can we just put the divider up? I think that's a good solution. It'll make it a little tight back there, but. Right, bro. Issue.
If anyone doesn't have, there's more here.
Okay. Hi, welcome. You guys are already set up, which is amazing. We've all had lunch, so our tummies aren't growling anymore. Why don't I just do a quick introduction? I'm Lauren Efron. I'm chair of the building committee for Dwight. Nicole Olson is my vice chair. I keep saying Dwight. Sorry, you're R. I'm a person. John Purcell to her left. And I have Jeff Galdenzi, who's also chair of another current, building committee. You might be familiar with him. And Jason Lee, he is our Board of Ed liaison and has served on several building committees, and Peggy Macaluso as well here at the end. So those are the formal board members. And then I have Mark Schweitzer from Colliers. He's our owner's rep. Angeles Papa George to his right, who's FPS Director of Facilities. We have 17 schools, so it's a lot of work. And then Tecton Architects, we have Jeff Wysinski and Antonia, whose last name I'm still working on.
Ciavarella.
Ciavarella. It's gonna take me like.
That's Antonia.
There you go. That's Antonia. And we're thrilled to have them on board. And we're pleased that you're here and can't wait to hear more about what you do. Just a couple of just housekeeping rules. We've got 45 minutes for a presentation, 15 minutes for Q&A. We may, we'll try not to, but we're very good at it. We may fire a couple of questions during the course of the presentation, but we'll try to hold off until the end and reserve those 15 minutes.
Feel free to shout them out.
Thank you.
Everyone says that and they deeply regret it.
And just for our recording secretary, 1 p.m. We are officially back to. We may have to vote because we voted to pause. So can I have a
Motion to re-enter the meeting.
Thank you. Second, Jason. Thank you. Sorry, that was first motion by Nicole, seconded by Jason. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we're officially ready to go. Thank you.
All right, well, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you for the new Dwight Elementary School. We're very excited. So we'll put together an agenda for our presentation. Let's start with meeting the team, and then we're going to talk about our approach to pre-construction. And then we'll talk about construction and drill. And then we'll discuss the Gilbane advantage, and then we'll turn it over to Q&A. Next slide. So introduction, my name is Amar Shamas. I'm the principal on the project. 30 years in the industry, primarily K through 12. A lot of work in all in Connecticut, and significant amount of work for the town of Fairfield. I'm excited and proud of it.
Nick Conte, Senior Project Executive, been with Gilbane almost 20 years and in the industry a few more years than that. Primarily spent in public K-12 construction, and the last 10 years seems like nothing but early childhood or elementary school education. So happy to be here today. Actually, my first project as a project manager was on Riverfield Elementary School 10 or 11 so years ago with Sal Morabito and company.
Yes.
I have not been back since, so excited about the opportunity to.
All right, Victoria Hammond, project manager with Gilbane. I've been in the industry for about 12 years now. I have a background in science and tech, but I'm currently working in K through 12, working on Norwalk High School. I'm the lead project manager here. It's actually very similar to this project in the respect that it's a brand new school that we're building in an active campus of about 1,600 students.
My name is Mark Valentoni. Been in the industry approximately 30 years. Most of my tenure has been in Fairfield with Gilbane. So I know Mark, I know Jason and Sal. Nice to see you, Sal. But I've been at Holland Hill, Mill Hill, just recently completed the HVAC IAQ jobs at Fairfield Woods, Osborne, and North Stratfield. So thank you for having us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Michael Parent, Senior Estimating Manager here in the Connecticut office, have about 15 years in the industry. A lot of experience in Fairfield, see some familiar faces here, so excited to try to get another one.
Tim.
Tim,
I'll just
Squeeze right in line.
Yeah, you're-
Stephanie Greenman, Senior Purchasing Manager for Gilbane here in Connecticut. I've been in the industry for about 12 years, and I'm responsible for all of the procurement that runs through our Connecticut office.
Mine for now. Tim Matrigrano, my role in this project will be engineering manager. I have about 17 years in the industry, currently working with the HVAC IAQ for our town. I'm also a resident, moved here in 2019. Two girls that are in Sherman, 7 and 9, so it's a lot of fun. And I actually coach my 9-year-old daughter's soccer team, which has been even more fun than I thought it would be. But we practice at Dwight, and we have a few girls who are on the team from.
Yeah, so you're one of those teams.
Yeah. So it's been a pleasure, and again, been working with Mark, Sal, Angela, with Mark as well on our team on the HVAC the past couple of years. So looking for the opportunity for continued success here in the town. So appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. I'll round us out here. My name is Rania Moreau. I have been in the industry for 11 years, senior specialist right now doing community impact and engagement. Great.
I'm Bob, Labanera Sales. I'm not allowed to talk. I was here, Lauren, for your inauguration in this room, and I've been to a few meetings, but I'm excited for the opportunity.
All right, as you indicated, feel free to ask questions as we go during our presentation. So we're going to talk a little bit about Gilbane, Connecticut. We are been in Connecticut over 80 years, over 90 employees strong, top builder for K through 12. We have tremendous resume. We've completed elementary schools, high schools, middle schools. Again, we bring a robust team that's ready, as the introduction went through, that ready to hit the ground running. No learning curve. They understand they have the relationship with the town of Fairfield. The K through 12 is our bread and butter, basically. Again, our approach to Fairfield is community engagement. Ronnie will speak to that later on. Project transparency. We are an open book type of CM that we share all the information, and Freddie will talk about our OAC process and how we actually manage that process too. Last but not least is our partners, Colliers, 11 schools, $350 million. We're a known entity now. Tecton Architects, friends and design partners. We recently completed Neck River in Madison. Nick will talk about that one. He led the effort over there. And obviously, we're working currently on an assignment with them on Enfield School, 5 elementary schools. You asked for our experience with OGA over 20 years. Here's our portfolio for recently completed project and active projects. Multiple schools in Fairfield. Currently working in Stanford. Those are our resume for all the schools that we completed, and there is more actually. Next slide, please. And at this point, I'm actually going to stop, turn it over to Nick.
Thank you, Omar. As I mentioned before, Senior Project Executive with Gilbane. On our org chart here, you can see the different companies and entities, Fairfield Public Schools, Town of Fairfield. Our Gilbane team really separated on the two sides, pre-construction on the left, the construction team on the right. Some of the roles overlap a little bit. As Senior Project Executive, my role, I start, if we were awarded the project, I would start immediately that same day. And then my involvement in the project spans through pre-con, through construction, into the closeout and warranty stage. So I'm the cradle to grave, if you point of contact for the project. On the left side for construction, as Amar mentioned, robust team. We have 5 full-time employees. Sort of Dale comes on to the project a couple months into the construction phase. But our construction staff, led by Victoria Hammond, is 5 full-time equivalent employees. Amar and I spent a lot of time looking at, is 5 the right number? For a building of this size, we might see 3.5 to 4. We felt being an active campus and having a challenging site in terms of grade changes, that it just wasn't responsible to go less than 5. So we have a very adequate team, again, led by Victoria. Tim will lead the engineering effort, Alina supporting him. Mark will lead the superintendent effort with Dale Dubinsky supporting him. On the pre-con side, met a couple of folks here today, Steph Greenman and Mike Parent. Stephanie's handling purchasing. Mike will talk about estimating in a little while. And then we have two other people I'd like to mention. One is Mark Winslow. He's our sustainability environmental expert. Mark provides tremendous value, counter contaminated soils. So that's not an project since so many years and not a farm or something. immediately prior, and also with abatement and hazardous materials within the building would come into play in the second phase at the end of the project when we tear the original school down. And then Ian Carney leads our virtual design and construction team, the VDC, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. One of the pre-construction phase. No offense to our construction phase folks, but I think it's the most important phase of the project. Everybody sees construction phase as the phase where everything happens. It's glitz and glamour of the building going up and the topping out ceremonies of the steel and all of the building coming together. It's really the pre-construction phase where all the planning is done, or the majority of the planning is done, that allows the construction phase to be successful. In terms of planning, I mentioned Mike Parent a minute ago, our estimating executive. We can't stay on budget during the construction phase. We can't stay on budget in the construction phase if we can't get on it in the first place, which is in pre-con. We have to get on budget in pre-con. Mike helps us do that in working with the design team. Second is purchasing. So buyout strategy, how we plan to bid the job out, right? Early packages is something that was talked about. We feel that's definitely something we should pursue during the pre-construction phase. Stephanie and I have pre-bought electrical switchgear, generators, HVAC equipment, all the way down to ductile iron piping for water supply on prior jobs. Some of them actually with Tecton on the Madison project. So the decisions that get made there, again, in pre-con, incredibly important from a buyout perspective. She'll talk a little bit more about that later. As far as MEP systems go, or mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems, Mike will provide tremendous value in giving you sort of a list of options of different HVAC systems that are the ones that are consuming most of the energy in the building, right? From geothermal and heat pump, which did in Madison, to chillers, to just the GOAS VRF system. Mike has all those plotted out, today's costs for those, ballpark costs, square foot costs, as well as what the life cycle costs are. What would you save over the next 50 years if you went with this type of system versus that type of system? So you can make that educated decision during the pre-construction phase. And then the last two, schedule and logistics. So we're building our schedule, the construction phase in the pre-construction phase, right? Our site logistics plan we'll talk about in a little bit. It's very general right now. As the design progresses and we have more information, where the building's actually going, the shape of it, and all those elements, we will continue to build out that site logistics plan and review with you as we go. Next slide, please. With that, Mike will talk about costs.
I appreciate the note about estimating be very important, Nick. I appreciate that. So as Nick mentioned, again, I'm Mike Parent, Senior Estimating Manager with Gilbane. I don't know if you saw in the previous slide, but our other estimating manager, he just got recently promoted. His name is also Mike. So you'll see me. You won't get that screwed up in an email. It'll be really great. But we have a robust team. It's not just the two of us, but we will be your key points of contact for all things estimating. Really excited about this one. A couple of quick things about our structure. We do all of our estimating in-house. We don't farm it out. No takeoffs, no unit prices. Everything is done through us, and that really helps us refine the budget. There's 3 estimates for this project. That is ideal for us. The more cracks at the estimate, the better. This helps us, again, refine the budget and be confident at bid day that we have the right number ready to roll. Another thing, just with the OGA experience, we're very familiar with filling out the PSCCD forms and everything like that. We work with the Colliers team to do that as well. So that's critical. It just helps streamline the process. What you see up on the screen here is just, I don't want to say it's a scorecard, but it's just our recent experience in Fairfield. There's actually a couple more projects before my time that we did in Fairfield as well. But just a testament to our approach in estimating and our experience with Fairfield. And we're really proud of the success that you see of the projects coming in under budget. Those HVAC upgrades projects are not easy to estimate early on. In my opinion, schematic design estimate is the most critical estimate, and it involves filling in the blanks. All the documents are there. So, using our historical data and leveraging projects that we've completed is critical. And our K through 12 experience helps us do that. Again, our experience with Tecton and Colliers, Neck River, Just helps us solidify the numbers. So we like our tech here in estimating, and I know these pictures are kind of hard to see, but I just wanted to go through a couple of the key features that we look at. On the side of the screen over there, 3D structure takeoff. As long as Jeff can give us the model, we put it into our 3D software or in our estimating software, and we're able to extract the steel components and the concrete. We validate that in 2D to make sure that there's no variances, and that really helps us. Again, those are two big cost drivers on the project. It's critical that we have those quantities correct, and we have the unit price data to apply to those. And then my fun one over here, Michael is the civil structural architectural guru, the other Michael. I have the mechanical sprinkler background, but I will talk for Michael here. This is our AgTech software, another critical software. All of our site work contractors use it. A lot of CMs don't go into this level of detail for AgTech. And on a project like this, where we're building the building into a hill, it's critical to understand what work has to go into all the soil moving around, right? So is the project a cut? Is it a fill? Is there a surplus? Can we reuse existing soils? This software, once we have an existing and proposed grading plan, we put it into the software. We look at the borings and the geotech, and we're able to hone in on the site work costs. The building costs are relatively easy to metric early on, but it's the site that can really skew the numbers. So it's critical we get this as early as we can. We'll push the Tecton team to get those and hit the ground running. So I'll turn over to Steph to talk about purchasing.
Thanks, Mike. So again, Stephanie Greenman, Senior Procurement Manager here at Gilbane. I'll be responsible for leading the team in the coordination of the buyout process. What this includes, as Nick started to allude to, is our buyout strategy, subcontractor engagement, drumming up interest in the market, bidding and scopes, all the way through guaranteed maximum price deliverable to you guys. We're going to leverage our extensive experience in the public K through 12 market. We've procured, as Amar mentioned, you'll see here on all of our slides, we have a lot of experience procuring those K through 12 school projects here in Connecticut. What comes with that is extensive experience with working with the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunity to make sure that we're bolstering that minority and diverse participation. That comes with, as I mentioned, drumming up interest in the market to ensure that we have subcontractors that want to bid on the project, giving the opportunity to those minority subcontractors, and making sure that we're overall hitting our goals and growing that minority community at the end of the day. On the next slide, when we talk about our buyout strategy, really what does that mean? It means how are we structuring our bid packages? What scope are we including and intending to buy within each of those packages so that we can tailor it to the local market to make sure that those packages are enticing for bidders to want to bid on. That paired with our relationships with the subcontracting community, the fact that subcontractors want to work for Gilbane. We run clean and on-time projects that end up being successful for all parties involved. That reputation speaks for itself. The numbers here on the screen also are a testament to that. If you look down here at the bottom row here, this is the average bids per bid package that we've received on just a sampling of projects, many in the town of Fairfield, and then recent school buyouts, with Learn being the most recent in Waterford, where we're averaging well above the industry average, which is typically 3 bids per bid package. You see the numbers of 4, 5, 6 bids per bid package down here. That's a testament to Gilbane's relationship and our pulse on the local market to ensure that we're getting that kind of quantity of average bids on a bid package. And what that really means to you is we're increasing the competition. You're going to get that best number that's out on the street so that we're delivering to you the most competitive guaranteed maximum price that's available and on the streets. So with that said, Gilbane, really with the team that you're engaging here, we're committed to your best interest throughout the entire pre-construction and procurement phase in order to set that project up for success in pre-construction, delivering a GMP to you that is on budget and on schedule at the end of the day. So one more pre-construction item, virtual design construction. Nick.
Thank you. So construction industry has been referred to as the 3-letter acronym industry. We have a lot of 3-letter acronyms: VDC, MEP, virtual design and construction, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. We're a virtual design and construction team. I mentioned it before. What they do is they build the building in a model before we ever mobilize on site to build the building. What that does is it allows us to identify any conflicts. All these parts and pieces that you see in the model and then from the photograph all have to fit, and they all have to fit the right way. Just getting them to fit isn't enough. If you can't access the access doors, then we didn't do our job, right? It's not just getting it to fit, it's keeping the ceilings as high as possible. It's making sure that everything is accessible. It's making sure that we're not exceeding the number of duct bends or pipe bends that put stress on your HVAC units and shorten their lifespan. I think what we do differently from our competitors when it comes to virtual design and construction, modeling is that we do it in the pre-construction phase. We don't wait until the construction phase to pull the contractors together to open it up and say, oh geez, this is a mess. We got a lot of work to do. We do it in the pre-construction phase so that when we hit the street, as Stephanie mentioned, getting the job, documents are pretty clean in terms of conflicts. We've ironed out all the big ones. We've gotten all the medium-sized ones. And if time permits, we'll get down to the nitty-gritty and nearly coordinate the whole thing before we ever award contracts to our MEP contractors. So Stephanie talked about contractors liking how they like to work for Gilbane. It's not just clean and safe jobs. We do that. I think what they also appreciate is that they know when they mobilize on site, the issues are ironed out. The most expensive component of their contract value is labor. If they're not efficient with their labor, they're going to lose money. And when they start losing money, that's when the jobs start to really struggle. So they know that when they show up on site, this is coordinated. They know that when they send their crew there to start framing walls, it's all ironed out and there's going to be no hiccups. So that's our VDC team. It's that effort. And I'll ask Mark and Victoria to come up, talk a bit about the construction phase.
Thanks, Nick. Again, my name is Mark Ballantoni, project superintendent. I'm the guy that's there every day, all day. I'm the first one usually on site and the last one to leave. So I will be there from day one until the end of closeout. So someone asked me, and actually one of these interviews similar to this, it might have even been you, Jason, what keeps you up at night as a superintendent?
Oh, yeah.
So for me, what keeps me up at night is making sure that, we are safe, working in an active campus. I mean, that's a hard thing when you're on a construction site. You've got a building right next door to you. You've got kids walking around. They're going outside for recess. So for me to make sure that building is safe, and I know you have children that go to Dwight. So my job is to make sure your children are safe and every other child that's there is safe. It's, the building is going to get built. It's going to be great and it'll come together without a problem. But for me, what keeps me up at night is being on an active campus with, making sure our gates are locked, making sure the fence doesn't have a hole in it, that someone can get in and kind of wander around and get hurt, making sure that we coordinate our deliveries when before parent pickup and drop off. So those are the things that keep me awake at night. But as far as what the way we'll do that, we'll isolate our construction site. I'm sure everybody talked about this in the other interviews. Is we're going to put a fence around it. We're going to have a locking gate. We have to make sure those gates are locked. We have to make sure we walk the site every morning, make sure there's no holes in the fence, make sure that we're taking care of everything that's give someone with the ability to get in and walk around. Orientations and background checks, third-party background checks. Anybody that before they even walk on site has to go through a third-party background check. And then once they're on site, before they can even grab their tools out of their car, they have to go through a safety orientation with us. We monitor noise, vibration, and dust. At times in, say, state testing, we know that, in Holland Hill, Mill Hill, I always got a call from Molly Farrell saying, hey, listen, we got state testing today. Please don't, do anything that's going to make a lot of noise. So we would take care and it would have to stop. If we moved for an hour, half an hour, we would stop everything that we were doing. We'd stop and make sure that we weren't making any noise. We also know that the parent drop off, we know the times, we know the pickups. So we have to coordinate all our deliveries around those. We can't have a big tractor trailer truck coming in when 20 buses are dropping all kids off. Or when parents are coming through with their kids and then getting out of the cars and here comes a concrete truck. We can't do that. So we know that. We're going to make sure that we coordinate those. And there's going to be times when a truck is going to come and it's going to be sitting there waiting while the buses are coming and they're just going to have to go. So we're going to tell them to leave. So we have that control and we're going to make sure we coordinate that as well. As the phase 2 comes around and hazardous materials are going to be we think inside the existing building. Make sure that's managed properly. Off-site legally and taken care of and not, with dust control. So everything is going to be taken care of and manage that hazardous materials. And so respect for school operations. There's constantly, parent-teacher conferences. There's kids outside during recess. There's, concerts. So we have to be cognizant of all that as it's going on. So those are the things that keep me awake. So next slide, please.
Okay, so it's Victoria here again, slated to be your project manager for this project. So on the screen here, we have our site logistics plan that we proposed. This is for phase one, for the construction phase. So this is from January of 28 when we break ground through May of 29 when we turn over the new school. So you can see, just to orientate ourselves a little bit, we have Reading Road on our left here and then access to the school property through the roadway up here, our existing school in gray, and then our new construction site here to the right. So you can see perimeter fencing throughout, controlled access up the gate on the top right. You can see red scrim for that additional privacy. And we know that the site is limited for space, so we do have trade parking dedicated inside the construction site as well. So Mark and I have actually been on site and we noticed a few things that might be of a concern. As obviously working in an active campus right now with the previous logistics plan, you could see that the bus loop is still maintained. That would be as currently we have. And then the tennis courts, we noticed as well that those were newly constructed, so those would remain as
So this actually takes us to phase one, which is out through May of 2029. You notice the building that's very close to the existing building. But we had an alternate plan. As we go through, see the building being built, you see all the nice parking in front when we turn this building over. But we looked at a different plan to kind of go through and push the building east. What that does is it gives you parking, because the existing building, the original design from the RFP didn't have parking until the phase two was demoed. So now with this phase and push that back, it gives us parking here for everybody once we turn this building over, before we actually start doing the demo of the first phase of the existing building. So that was just something we thought of as an alternate.
It's a novel approach. We're not married to either one of the former feasibility study proposals. We know there was one initially done by Silver Petroselli all the way up on the field, as you're suggesting now. And then obviously last year's was into the help, but we're willing to, and hopefully working with Tecton to explore a third, maybe unknown option, perhaps bringing these together.
I guess that actually gives us parking. So, turn the building over. If we don't have parking, it's going to be,
Yeah, I just don't want to sacrifice playground space because we do require 3 playgrounds and you're pushing really far back. And it's a great idea, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, that's my initial it's conceptual. It's all great. The fact that you guys are even going and thinking of other things before you're even there is great.
Like I said, I think it's a novel
Septic
approach to actually put the parking in front like that. No one.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's more of a Tecton and building side, but we're there to provide insight on the logistical aspects. Well, if you do this, parking is going to be a problem when you open the new building. If you do that, you lose playground. So that's where we come in. We're not sitting on the side.
Great idea.
Where do you see the septic tank and that being an issue? And the leaching fields.
The existing septic system is here, so that's another challenge that we kind of came.
Leaching field is there. The septic system is actually just off the building, right in front of the.
So there's the clean outs are right here, right? Leaching fields are in that area. So, that's another challenge. It's like when the building is done and we're tying in the new building, we still have the existing building. So at what point do we make that tie-in? Do we do it at the summer when we're turning over the building? Do we do it and cut off the existing? So that's something that has to go through.
Possibly build a new field. Fields at other locations. It's gonna depend on the perk tests and if there's an auxiliary, often there's a permanent field, but there's like the auxiliary system for future. Because at some point their life expectancy is like 25 years. So that may be a possible.
Okay.
That's all gonna be sorted out during the design phase with Jeff and his team.
You're looking at different options, whether it's adding and leaching.
Right.
That's with the estimating process. So you have the information, what it's going to cost. You can make an investment.
So here we actually have a time lapse of our logistics plan with a cash flow projection chart at the bottom. And Bob, if you don't mind just pausing right here. So I just want to mention that throughout construction, we will be very communicative of our projected billing monthly, especially in the forefront of the project. But this just shows a nice graphic of where we see everything trending. So you can see as steel erection continues and play it, our cash flow will also increase. And we're seeing a peak around February of 29 when we're heavy into finishes. And then as construction progresses and everything's dwindling down, then our cash flow obviously will trend in that same direction.
Turn it over. Yeah. I'll jump on this side.
So at the top here, we have our schedule as outlined in the RFP. So it's a compressed version of it, but basically pre-construction showing fragments from schematic design all the way to construction documents, GMP approval and subcontractor award. And then we'll be boots on the ground, January of 28 for about a 16-month construction duration and turning over the school in the summer of 29. We definitely feel very confident in this schedule that it can be achieved, especially with our team here, especially also with the resources that Gilbane has. But I will turn over to Nick to talk about an alternate schedule that has some great benefits as well.
Yeah, as Victoria mentioned, this largely mimics or almost identical to the RFP schedule, and we feel very, very comfortable with the overall construction duration. Certainly adequate for this size building. Down below is an alternate schedule. So you asked about how do we finish this job earlier? How do we complete it sooner? And the immediate answer is always, we'll just build it faster or just design it faster. Not always that easy. And even if it were, it condenses the time you have to make decisions, right? So we looked at, we're in this scenario, we're maintaining the construction schedule for the building itself. What we've done is we've just pulled it in and started a little bit earlier. So we talked about early packages before. I think even if we go with the RFP schedule, we don't try and finish this earlier. I think early packages is certainly warranted for electrical switchgear. There was a generator noted in the ed specs. I'm not sure if that's going to be a full-size generator to power the whole building or not, but definitely would look at to pre-buy that unit as well. And then depending on where the air handlers are going, if they're going inside, we'd probably want to buy them. If they're going up on the roof, then maybe we don't have to. But in this scenario, it would be not only early packages for those longer lead items that I just mentioned, it would be early packages for the site, for concrete, for steel, so that we could get that coordination in process. You know, once we award the steel contractor, the columns and beams don't show up right away. It takes several months before they can show up. And there's a lot of coordination that has to happen in time. So by awarding the long lead items and some of those early trades, we can start construction early. And we feel that the design, as it catches up, we won't hit a lag somewhere in here where we're waiting, right? We don't have the rest of the trades on site. We started early. Now we're sitting there waiting for a month. It was all for nothing, right? So we feel confident that they're going to sync up well. And that would allow us to finish at the end of 28 as opposed to May of the building anyway, the May of 29. Advantages and disadvantages, right? So from a starting of construction standpoint, I like this better, doing foundations in July as opposed to in January. You know, this past season reinforced that that's not always easy. It wasn't until I think the last worst winter we had was when we did the Riverfield foundations, and it had been long enough that I kind of forgot about that, but we create a lot of challenges there. A lot of challenges. So I like starting earlier there. The obvious disadvantage, I think, is that in this scenario, we're finishing in May, got June, July, August to bring in the FF&E, bring in the furniture, bring in technology, and have teachers and staff, if they choose, get accustomed to that technology so that day one of school year, they're not fumbling around trying to figure out how to work the AV in the classroom. That's not advantageous. In this scenario, we'll probably be moving over Christmas break, which we've seen done. We've done projects. It's usually renovations that are phased. So we'll finish one wing at the end of the year. And then over Christmas break, that school will move everything from the next construction area into the one we just finished. That tends to work a little bit better than trying to move in 80-some thousand square feet, 85,000 square feet. It would be certainly, yes, so go ahead.
If I answered, I'm sorry. With that, the second one, with the demo of the existing building. So I'm one of the ones that I'm going to have little guys in the building when you're doing this. How do you maintain dust control during the winter with demo with the hazmat in the walls? Like, how are you going to, like everybody else has talked about misters, and I'm just picturing, well, then icicles. So
That's the other big disadvantage to this, is that the abatement and demo in this scenario occurs over summer. And so our goal, once summer hits here, our goal is that by the time the kids come back, the building is down. Everything's abated, the hazmats are off site, the building is down, and we're hauling it out. And the impact is very minimal. In this scenario, you're 100% right. We're doing abatement, not in the same building as where the kids are in the new, but it's the same site. right? And dust control does become a little more challenging in winter. Obviously, it depends on how bad the winter is, but yes, there are options to maintain dust control in that.
And then to play devil's advocate on the top half, like you're mentioning, the January start, how often in the state of Connecticut, which you're used to working in all over, how often do you see if a job starts in January that you kick off with delays due to ground freezing?
This is the first year.
That's the nice thing about the alternate schedule.
Yeah, so we mentioned the early childhood school that I'm working on now in Waterford for Learn. We were planning to start in January, and yet we were hit with about a week and a half delay because of the weather. Nothing major. You certainly don't like starting out behind, but flip side of that coin is you've got enough time to make it up. Whereas you lose a week with a month left, you're in trouble.
The good thing about the alternate schedule is that you're starting in July, so we mobilize, set up. The site is vacant. There's a recess, so the kids go ahead.
Yeah, and there's an argument to be made though about when you start foundations on a new building, the winter, the facade work, the masonry work around the outside of the building, you're doing in the summer, which is better. When you start foundations here, you end up doing a lot of that work in the cold weather months. So it depends what some of those exterior building elements end up being.
This doesn't matter what design, like you guys have it where the building's back. It doesn't matter if it's here or the buildings are still right next to each other, right?
This option becomes, good question. This option becomes more challenging if it's the Svigals scheme where the buildings are a lot tighter together. It becomes a much bigger challenge. Not impossible, but a bigger challenge.
Any other questions on this? So there's a lot to it, yeah, definitely, yeah.
That, I'll hand it over to Tim to talk about communication.
Yeah. So as we said earlier, communication to you guys is key. We've been doing it so far for the past few years with the HVAC project. We have all these great technology tools that we can use for your team and for you guys to understand where we are in the process and how we're doing, how the health of the project is. So a couple of key ones here that we use a lot. I myself use a lot, Procore. Our friend Jeff uses that quite a bit too. We have our HEPs, which are when we give you guys either a credit or an ad, hopefully more of a credit, but we use that to kind of use the vehicle for approvals and stuff like that for the money on the job. We also has our drawings, our submittals and RFIs, which I'm sure some of you might be familiar with submittals. It's just the actual approvals on the project. If we're going to have a paint color for a white wall or a carpet selection, it goes through the design team, it gets approved, it lives on that system. RFIs are if we're digging somewhere and we hit something that shouldn't have been there, we say, okay, what is this? How do we handle it? That goes through that system too. You guys have access to that. You'll be able to see that. You'll be able to live with us in the project so you know where we're at. Monthly reports, these are monthly reports. So every month, we'll give you guys kind of an executive summary. It has the financial health of the project. It has RFIs and submittals. How many are open? How many are closed? Manpower, how much have we had people on site working, right? So you can kind of see where we are through the journey. And again, we can always go over these every month with the team. If there's any questions or concerns, we can address them as we see. And we have the OAC meeting as well weekly. We can also accounting. We use CMIC, very robust program. This team and everyone else at Gilbane has used it for many years, so we're very efficient in it. We know how to utilize it. It's what we do all of our accounting in. So change orders, change management of the like, and state change orders. So we are familiar with the process, which is great because when you get a state change order applicable change, you have a time limit to get it submitted. So you can't kind of figure it out on the fly. You kind of want to know what you're doing. So our team has processed that before with the state of Connecticut for these projects. So when we get something that's applicable to that, we can get it going, get it buttoned up and get it out in a timely fashion.
Sid mentioned OAC, that's owner contractor architect meeting that meet once a week. Those meetings are open, people can attend them, participate. We also do a Zoom link, so that way you can call in and you get an update on the project, what we're doing that week and what we're doing looking forward.
The 3-letter acronym.
Yeah.
In case you're keeping count.
I love that. Closeout. So sounds like it's the end of the job. It partially is, but it starts from day one early on. So comprised of closeout, we have commissioning, systems training, warranties, and as-built. As-built, again, if we're supposed to put something in the ground on this side and it had to go on that side, we do a drawing that shows you it goes here. So in the future, someone digging knows where it is, right? So anything like that falls in that jurisdiction will be in the closeout package. Attic stock, again, another weird term. Basically additional materials that you bought in this job. So ceiling tiles, carpet tiles, anything that you have in the classrooms that we, in the drawings and specs that are deemed extra materials, we'll provide those through the contractors at the end of the job. So if FPS's team is going through and they need to replace tiles, they'll have a bunch in stock somewhere in town where they can go replace them so they look the same and they're the same spec and everything. So we provide, that's a standard thing in the industry, but we do provide that here. We did it on the past few schools that Mark and I were working on. So, and probably the most important thing is commissioning and systems training. So we currently have been going through it and at FPS's team, educated on how to use all the new systems we put in at Woods, Osborne, and North Strathfield. So we bring everybody in, we coordinate with FPS, make sure their teams are ready. If they need additional training, we can provide additional training. So that way, when we're wrapping up the job, they're not sitting here trying to figure out how to use all their new stuff, right? So, and we've been as flexible as we can. We have additional training with Sal, actually, that he's gonna be taking, and a few other guys in June, just to make sure that as the cooling season comes around with these schools, no one's sitting here, what do we do with the new stuff? So it's important and it does come at the end, but we do work along the whole scheduled process through the project with the team.
Back to you. Okay. For a moment, just talk about efficient construction delivery. It's not just finishing on time, but not just finishing on time, delivering it, maybe even ahead of schedule. There's cost implications to how efficient we are. So these projects on the left, all elementary schools, all ground up new elementary schools that we've done in the last 7 or 8, 9 years. Our last construction estimate before we went to bid, what the initial total construction cost was when we started the construction phase in that variance. I like to refer to this column as Mike's report card. And you can see we've been pretty accurate. These two down here, I'd rather be 9% under than 5% over. But I think Mike would agree with me that 9% probably a little too conservative, right? We wouldn't have wanted to value engineer things out of those two projects only to then realize maybe we could have afforded them. Now, in that scenario, in the pre-construction phase, if we're faced with, hey, we might be over budget, we can create alternates, right, in the bid packages, right? The landscape architect might want 600 trees. You say, have one. Jeff would say, no,
We've got a lot of trees up there already. So.
We might say, like, why don't we do base bid 300 and another 300 as an alt? And then landscaping happens at the end of the job. If we've got the money left over, we've got a competitive price from bid day and we can get it before the project ends. These last two columns are when construction is complete. So percent in change orders. That would be anything that comes out of what we refer to as owner contingency or out of scope changes. So if there was a deficiency in the documents, didn't show adequate number of light fixtures and our contractor only owns so many, be a change order for more light fixtures. It's a dumb example. These guys do a much better job than that. The cost of that change order would be what populates this column. And it's obviously the percent over, or the value of the changes over the GMP value. Relatively low. The ones that spiked here were in South Windsor, where we added classrooms in the middle of construction. So a new build, and then halfway through construction, they got new enrollment projections and said we need more classrooms. With more classrooms. It's not that easy, but we did.
On and set, so that happened.
Is that when they added classrooms, did they give you more money at the budget, or did you work with the budget that you had to add more classrooms because you did all the pre-construction and realized?
Yeah, so they did not have to go back for more money, referendum, on account of adding those classrooms. So the owner's total project budget was able to absorb that. That was this 10.6, a couple percent make up that additional cost from the owner to us and then us to our subs. Additional classrooms.
So they stayed in budget and added more classrooms.
The 4 South Windsor schools that we did, we were under budget on Orchard Hill Elementary. Some of that money, because the way their referendum was worded, some of that savings funded some of these. And then when these jobs, despite adding classrooms, we returned a lot of money at the end of the job. I'll talk about the return at the end of the project in a minute. That money was used to fund this overage. We bid this project in late 2021 when inflation was going through the roof. To be totally honest, that's not all of that 6%. We were light on a couple of things, but that was largely driven by the inflation. The savings from these two jobs funded that overage and allowed that school to get built. It wouldn't have gotten built. So,
I'm sorry, yeah, what
What
town?
town is this? that you did?
South Windsor.
South Windsor.
South Windsor, Madison, we did with Benton, and then West Haven. So at the end of the project, we return our unspent contingency or CM contingency. What that is, typically it's about 3% of this GMP value. It's your money that we use for certain things, like if we didn't buy the scope correctly. If Jeff's team showed that the right amount of light fixtures, but somehow we told the sub we go with a different example. Your HVAC units, we bought the condensate lines from the plumber, intended to, and then bought the mechanical lines from the mechanical contractor, but somehow something got crossed up and we didn't buy the condensate lines. Now I have to go pay the plumber to provide that work. It's on the drawings. We have to provide it, but we missed buying it from our sub. We use money out of that 3% of this CM contingency to fund that. If it's schedule acceleration, as long as it's not a sub that we can say caused a delay, we'll use it for that. And some of the fine tuning sometimes on the coordination side, more so with finishes, I think, than with the MEP systems. We'll also use CM contingency for that as well. So this is the column, I said, that's Mike's report card. This is the one I take a lot of pride in the amount of money that we return. So we used 21% of that, what was probably $800,000 on Orchard Hill. We returned 79% of that, in addition to some other line item savings within our GMP. So numbers are pretty good. This is the town I live in. Unfortunately, it's the highest. It's the smallest return I gave back, or we gave back, but still a very healthy return. So in Madison, the savings from our GMPs, they're potentially going to buy and install on their own solar panels on top of the building, which coupled with the system they designed for HVAC with geothermal and heat pumps actually make the building net positive. It's a very efficient building as it is. So again, just wanted to kind of explain that there is the upfront of GMP cost at the beginning of the construction phase, but there's also returns that come back at the end to expand upon the program. Sustainability. Everybody is or should be concerned about sustainability at this point, whether you care about it because you want to minimize fossil fuels or you just want to save money. Really doesn't matter anymore. So I've mentioned several times, I try to beat a dead horse, but we drilled 72 500 feet deep geothermal wells in Madison. Coupled that with heat pump system and the amount of energy efficient walls, roof that Jeff designed made that building incredibly efficient. Insulated concrete forms, we've heard you all discuss that. We've done a couple projects with insulated concrete forms. One that I was in charge of a few years ago was Slate Upper School. It's a private elementary. Actually, it's now K-8 in North Haven. Used ICF forms or insulated concrete forms. There's a pretty wide spectrum though with ICF, right? So this project was primarily just insulated concrete forms for everything that was at or below grade. And then there's, I think it was Brookfield Elementary that you all did, was ICF walls, not just below grade or at grade, but all the way up to the roof line. Very, very different in terms of constructability methods. This is a relatively minimal difference when you're just doing it at or below grade. When you're doing it full height of the exterior walls, that's when it changes a lot.
Can I ask why would you, I mean, I think I could see why it would be important to do it if it's in contact with, the ground, obviously. But why would Slate Upper School, why did they opt to do that instead of the full envelope?
Just to correct, so Slate, we didn't really go above grade. The grade ended up coming up to this, but it was the Brookfield School, I think, wasn't it?
No, but she's saying, why did they opt? Why didn't they go above grade?
They wanted to use timber construction, so it's all wood framed and mass timber. Acts as more of a carbon sink than a carbon emitter.
Okay.
So they didn't want to have all that concrete.
But obviously, it's owner's choice. I'm just curious if it was cost savings, if it was
Reference, they wanted to go
reference to how it looks.
construction, full wood construction on it.
Timber's exposed, it's aesthetic.
But this at least ensures full waterproof,
Yeah.
or at least the.
Yes.
Are you seeing problems with the state when you start putting in ICF paperwork? Are they not sure what to do as far as reimbursement, or they know when it doesn't?
Shouldn't affect your.
Doesn't come back and say, hey, this is missing, or the state gets it.
Defer to Jeff on that. This was a private school, so we.
On the project, on the Brookfield project, we explored all kinds of different structural systems. The state didn't have a say in which one was chosen. They reimbursed the project. Yeah.
When it comes to sustainability, it's not just the new techniques and the tools for generating energy. It's also how efficient is the building envelope, how much insulation was in the design, and then did we install it correctly? If we've left gaps, it defeats the purpose of putting forges of foam R20 or R22 insulation in the cavity wall of the building. Yes.
You said something about carbon emission versus this. What, could you explain that a little further? No, okay, never mind. Too much. Okay. If it was gonna be like, oh yeah, it means this in layman's terms then, but no. You need a whiteboard.
This timber framed building is almost all comprised of wood. Wood absorbs carbon. Is that correct? Sort of, kind of? If it was a structural steel framed building, the process to transport steel to.
Oh, so you're talking about the carbon footprint of getting the materials. Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Mass timber is sold on minimal carbon footprint and deliver mass timber.
It has to be local, it's not gonna be.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have to be processed.
Okay, so you're talking about the overall global footprint of the material. It has nothing to do with the building's carbon emissions.
Mass timber didn't
Gotcha.
impact really more or less.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah. I didn't know if it meant something was different within the breathability of the building. I was like, wait, what?
Like Bob's pushing me off here, but again, the tightness of the building, the insulation, how well it's installed, the exterior air and vapor barrier, how well that's installed, interior vapor barrier, how well that's installed. That's all Mark, and that's a big part of sustainability.
Okay, so quality. I don't have a lot of time here. Bob's gonna give me the neck. So, but what's quality? So quality is verifying basically what's being put in place. What work is being put in place? Is it meeting the design intent? So there's a bunch of different things here that we do, benchmarks, mock-ups, inspections. A couple that I want to highlight, closure inspection. So I've worked in Fairfield for a number of years, worked with the building department, Mike Clemente, Pat Mahoney, fire marshal. So we do above ceiling inspections. We do in-wall inspections. Before we're allowed to close everything up, we have to have them out, and I've got a great relationship with them. We go out, I walk them around. I'm the one that puts the inspections in. We bring them out, we do our above ceiling inspections, we do our in-wall inspections, and then we're allowed to close up the building. So I want to make sure we highlight that, and we, I have a great relationship with all those guys. And the other one is rolling completion list. So we want to make sure that we're kind of looking at all the work going in before the design team has to come out and do a punch list. So if we get that done, we make sure all of the issues are resolved before they come out. It makes for a very smaller, very small, but we make sure for a small punch list. And then the other one I want to highlight is third-party envelope inspections. So again, I know you guys mentioned recently about how water is taken care of. So as we do our foundations and we do our more air vapor barrier, we want to make sure that they come out, they take care of, they do the inspections, make sure there's no gaps, there's no leaks, there's no water that's going to infiltrate the building. We want to make sure it's there for a long time to come. So quality, that's where Ronya's going to come in now. So.
Hi, everybody again.
Sorry, I'm laughing about the little fox.
Yeah, this is
Oh, yeah.
go up now.
All right, hi, everybody again. I'm Rania, Senior Specialist in Community Impact and Engagement. Just really quickly here, we have a motto at Gilbane. Some of you might know it. We're building more than buildings. We really stand by that. We really mean that we're building more than buildings. We're building communities. We're a part of the communities that we're working in, right? So this really shows through in our 3 pillars here that we have listed. These are our main focuses, right? It shows up in how we are growing businesses, growing small businesses. You heard this when Stephanie was talking about our procurement process. We really strive to have local and small businesses a part of our projects. We know the value in doing that. We also know the pride that they have in building in communities that they live in, right? So you'll see that on this project. We're looking forward to having this project be a part of that. Workforce development. We really enjoy this aspect of really exposing students and kids, the next generation, to the AEC industry, AEC architecture, engineering, construction. I see Amelia here. I remember her working within ACE. We're big in the ACE community in a lot of the different chapters. What you see here on screen is just last month, actually, we held an event, Trades Day at Norwalk High School. That was led by Victoria. She's the project manager there. It was amazing. We had 40 to 50 students, maybe even more, super engaged. It was wonderful to see their smiling faces. They were dressed up in their PPE. They got exposure to the trades that we're working on that project. We have 5 different stations, electricians, plumbing, pipe fitters, hands-on experience. I'm pretty sure we changed the life of at least 1 or 2 students there who now probably want to pursue careers in architecture or construction. It's amazing. So we're looking forward to doing activities like that. You know, we can get creative, see how we can get the students and even the community involved in the construction that's happening in their environment. And then lastly, community service. We have a lot of affiliations in and throughout the state of Connecticut. I know down here in Fairfield, we're really connected with the United Way and a number of different organizations. That one just comes to mind because we're working on an initiative with them. So we're just looking to grow those relationships, really even develop new ones down here with you all. So yes, a lot of pictures here, and I'll actually show it, hand it over to Mark to talk about his firsthand experience in here.
Yeah, so that's me at Holland Hill. So this is this one's me. So Molly, the principal, asked me to kind of escort the mascot in, and the kids get all excited, and they know it's Mr. Chris, the custodian. So during their Halloween parade, she asked me to put the costume on. So that's me in the costume. So when they saw Mr. Chris, the custodian, next to me, they were all freaking out, wondering, now who's the guy?
I had the same situation with the
Who's the
Dwight
guy in the
Dragon. Always one teacher who did it for years and she just retired, and so we had to figure out how it was going to be passed off to, and then they were all trying to.
So that was passed off to me. So I think I could be the dragon.
Throw off the kids by the person that they thought it was.
It was like the mass
Yes.
singer.
And then my Dwight's got a dragon, so I think I could be the dragon, so. Someone needs to.
The guy who's currently doing it would be really
I
friendly.
realize we're over on time, apologies.
No, that's okay.
But wrapping up here, this is the last slide, this is the Gilbane Advantage. Again, you heard from the team, our commitment to the team. These are local builders that build schools. We're committed, cost and certainty. Both Nick and Mike spoke about that. We will be your guiding principles in terms of making sure we manage that for you. K through 12 builders, we're top leaders in the industry in terms of K through 12. Connecticut OGA experience unmatched with others. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Kieran, and if somebody tell me who the guys on the left is. They asked me to.
It's Timothy Dwight.
Timothy Dwight.
Are you now?
Wow, that's on
My school on the hill. Might still be recorded.
That I'll open it up to Q&A.
That's actually Mark Presley, Timothy.
You fell for it.
Actually, Mark.
Sorry, it's embarrassing.
So
The
Q&A. Okay. Yes. Do you want to kick off?
I can look.
Jason, go ahead.
your prepackaged pre-bids and stuff. Is that where you think you're saving the most money because of that? Instead of waiting until actually all the I's and everything is done? I mean, we know firsthand the money you saved, right? Is that because of the pre-bid?
On those projects, the contingency returns, were they on account of that? Not necessarily. I think what the early packages, it really guarded against schedule delays. It was back when you couldn't get water piping. We had to bring the water line, had the water service half a mile up the road in order to make sure we had enough pipe. Can't open a building without water. Electrical switchgear can't open a building without power. We experienced in 22 trying to open up one of the South Windsor schools. Our switchgear got delayed to 3 months after the building was be complete. We don't want to be in that position again. Right. So it was more proactive than, lead times for switchgear right now. If they held, we wouldn't need to pre-buy it. I'm just not sold that they're gonna hold.
yeah, at some point, it used to be steel. Remember the Amazon effect?
Yeah.
The trusses and the steel and the roof deck was impacting construction. Just a lot of projects were pre-buying, pre-purchasing or early buying of steel deck, especially roof deck and trusses, because Amazon was basically absorbing the entire. So again, that's where the third guy right there, so he actually watches the market conditions, and we have that. We have our quarterly market, and we're happy to share that with you. Gilbane does publish that quarterly. We monitor market conditions throughout the nation.
If you didn't pre-buy those and those lead times increased and we couldn't turn the building over, had to stay on site longer or extended the duration of construction, yeah, that we would have had to eat into that CM contingency and less would have been returned.
Yeah, the data center boom isn't going anywhere, and that's definitely taking up a good chunk of the electrical infrastructure and vendors, so. Like I said, they did tighten up the lead times, but it's worth doing that.
I have a question real quick, Victoria. You said you are the PM for the Norwalk High School? Norwalk High School, that's right. Is that finishing up?
So we're turning over the school next summer.
Next summer.
So it actually works perfectly with this timeline. And then we're going into demolishing the existing school after similar phasing.
So it's a large team over there and Victoria is in charge of the building itself. We turn that over next summer to 2027. So like she said, this is perfect.
When I mentioned some of the-
Too obvious, isn't it?
When I mentioned some of the pre-con staff and construction phase staff overlap, she's probably the primary one from the construction phase that's gonna get involved in the project probably 3 months before we really start to help complete the schedule, complete the logistics, help me write a lot of the bid packages that we put out on the street to bid. Also, obviously gets her familiar with the project, so she hits the ground running. The timing works out well.
Okay. And I heard you mention earlier that you are currently doing an early childhood center right now? Yeah, so you are familiar with their specific needs. I've been asking this of everyone just because I know it's unique. We're really excited to have one attached to an elementary school for the first time. We've been sort of like retrofitting, I guess, classrooms at other elementary schools. Mullen Hill is one of them, to accommodate the overflow. And it is the fastest growing program in Fairfield. So we're thrilled to be able to do it. We just want to be sure that we do it right and we do, right by the ECC community.
Yeah, it was a bit of a learning curve for me. One in Waterford is my first one. When in the design phase, I think we had like 3 or 4 times, right? 4 or 5 times the amount of exterior doors.
Yeah, they have to have immediate access to outside.
Which results in additional card readers, additional access control.
Yeah.
All of that. So it sort of snowballs from there. And there's numerous other instances where it's like, oh, wow, okay, now that makes sense, really.
They're just so little, right? And they have to have their own pickup and drop off.
They start at infant, so it's extremely early childhood.
Does anyone else from the board have any other questions?
Any challenges you see at the state level right now, either get reimbursement or things get pushed back that you have to refile?
I mean, on the state change orders that they scrutinize those fairly well, but we are able to, we put the detailed package. I mean, we've been doing it for so many years. We understand their processes. So on the state change order aspect, it gets a little, sometimes they challenge and they kick back and we push back also because again, it's your money. You want to make sure you get the most of your dollars. On the review process, depending on the reviewer, who you end up getting, work closely with the design team as far as making sure the packages are correct and they don't get frustrated. And again, we know those systems well. We've done it. Staff is phenomenal in terms of being able to put those packages together with your sister to make sure that the review goes smoothly. So there's no issues there.
I think the biggest difference in the last year or two is the communication. We used to be able to just pick up the phone, call Bob Selmer and say, Bob, we have a situation. What are your thoughts on that? Is this going to be reimbursable or not? Can't really do that anymore. We used to have standing meetings with Bob to go over state change orders in person or virtually key. They're not doing that anymore. So you may have experienced when you reach out to them with questions, you're sending an email and you're waiting for a response and you send a follow-up email and a follow-up email. And then they get back to you and say, we got your request, we're working. And then they finally get back. Communication aspect has been.
Mark is typically the one that I'm sure that Colliers handles the payment and the reimbursement, which is the payment applications, and we support that too if necessary. Sal, I think. That's a question.
Sal, oh, hey Sal.
No. Hello.
You raised your fingers out.
Sal, I didn't even realize you're like really big over my shoulder. It's
haunting.
Quiet. Oh my gosh.
I have one. What risks do you typically carry in your GMP and what risks do you expect us to carry?
So having a CM contingency is a lot of our risk, right? We don't operate on big margins. So mitigate risk is important. The CM method or the CM at-risk delivery method, having a 3% CM contingency helps us.
Anything outside of that?
We'll carry some allowances for things that we know we're going to encounter. If borings for this site indicate rock, which I don't believe they did, it's found water and it was actually pretty favorable. If we had a hunch we were going to encounter, ledge, we might carry an allowance.
We do have a thin vein running north to south on the upper field they found with their borings.
I was happy to see the groundwater. I was expecting a really high water table. Didn't see it, which was risks that we push back to you. Without giving you contract terms and things like that, I don't know that we're really pushing.
It's a challenging site and things are gonna come up. And so I just kind of wanted, from your perspective, that there's.
CM delivery versus a lump sum bid GC. If you guys were that team full design the building and then you put those drawings out on the street to one general contractor, you're taking the lowest bid regardless of whether you like them or not. They don't have to satisfy you during the job. They just have to not get sued, right, and finish the job at some point. The CM delivery method, we don't win work oftentimes because we're the cheapest. We win it based on our reputation and our references. Hopefully we did, hopefully we did reach out to them. To me, if I was in your position, I would say that your risk is mitigated by the fact that if half of our book in Connecticut is public K-12 work. So if we don't satisfy you and deliver on time, under budget, and make it an easy process, then it's our business.
Soils is also soils classification, depending if it's polluted, contaminated, testing, that early testing
We're gonna
is.
need to shout at you. And I was like, we know, because we do know, unfortunately, that there are, contaminants obviously in the building itself. It was 1963, right? Asbestos
Sure,
was
of
used
course,
widely, lead piping, all of those things.
Sure.
We expect to uncover, but also, I believe a number of playgrounds in town, unfortunately, were backfilled with some things that were there. Yeah. So we're happy to see those go, but, yeah.
So that's, I mean, that's another piece of it to identify early on is what the soil classification is outside of the building footprint. Because again, if it's excess export project, if it ends up being that, those have to be handled a certain way too. So those are always have to be accounted for in the budget too.
Yeah, it happened with the turf at RLMS.
Correct.
Regulations have gotten a little more stringent in the last couple of years as well. Connecticut interprets more stringent than Rhode Island and Mass, right? So, testing the soils early and classifying them is critical.
Does everybody feel like they've gotten their questions? Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for taking the time to come this afternoon and meet with us. I'm so embarrassed I didn't identify Timothy Dwight, but I can't say that I've seen that rendition of him.
That was a precedent.
Good to see you.
Get that face now.
No, I mean, he doesn't see in person.
Yeah, maybe once.
Yeah, so it's a great presentation.
Thank you very much for your.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Heard a lot about you since Riverfield days of telling us.
So I don't know if they
Val Wesson,
changed it.
you heard the name. Nice to see you.
Be all set now. Good job.
How are you?
We're good.
Still, the glass is still on track.
That's on single.
What's going on?
Good to see you, Nick.
Hi, Sal.
Nice meeting you.
Mike,
Well, we've met before. I think I'm on the HVAC upgrades project.
Mark.
Good to see you again.
It's fun.
Very much.
Thank you.
So that we can try and.
Mar,
There's.
More respect.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna, sorry, a little bit of housekeeping for us. We want to go into an executive session so that we can close out and.
We want to talk about you.
Not about
Thank you very much for your time.
I feel like
Really
you're
appreciate it.
familiar.
I thought the same thing.
Do you have a daughter at Laurelton by chance?
No.
No, I thought I recognized you for that. Okay.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for your time. Sorry you had to do it. Good to see you.
We all have our.
You doing?
My point is.
Yep.
In order to release the fee proposal and.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And I don't know about Dina. Let's figure it out first. Okay, first I need a motion to enter into executive session.
Motion to enter into executive
Nicole
session.
Olson, seconded by Jason Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. We are now, oh, and you have to wait for the recording to stop.
make a motion, come out executive session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn at 2:42 PM.
Second. Or
Second.
first.
Second.
Jan,
Aye.
God bless you, Jan. We're on video for this. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Angela, if you could end the meeting, that would be great. Thank you, Jeff.